Test, test, test. All right. We are live. Okay, I saw you with the Instagram story, so we're good. What's up, everybody? We're back. Thanks for being here. We are back at you guys with another debate today. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but this gentleman who I have with me on the screen here, I became aware of him when he commented on some Instagram posts as well as on a YouTube video of mine. Accept my invitation to come talk about his experience, and I'm sure we have a different perspective on some things. So yeah, go ahead, Jarrod, take it away.
Well, I appreciate that. And Marco, excited to be on with you. I know this is going to be viewed by thousands of people eventually all over the world that are interested in mostly make that I have seen where debates are, some word, the dichotomy, scheme, marketing. So my job to really convince people of this profession. It's really to talk to that one person who was like me 20 years ago, taking a look at this for the first time and getting Marco, insight from someone that had a lot of influence in my life and telling me, hey, this is one of those businesses where all of the people at the top make all the money and all the people at the bottom do all the work. And I said, oh, I don't want to do that. And I didn't get involved. I was sitting in my father's law firm. Both my parents are attorneys, and that was the person that gave me that advice.
Right.
And he drew it out on a sheet of paper, Marco, and on that sheet of paper was a triangle. And so fast forward the tape. What was so fascinating is I took that as truth, what he said, that, hey, that's one of those pyramid things. I didn't know, what a pyramid was outside of what he had told me. I was probably 18 or 19 years old, somewhere around there, trying to look for a business or look for a way to make some money. And interestingly enough, a friend of mine, when I was working for a telecom company, I was a sales manager for a telecommunications company. I can't tell you the name of the company, but its initials are AT&T. And for those of y'all that get it, you'll catch it later. But anyway, I'm working for this company, Marco, and a buddy of mine who was the top sales guy in for that company, he and I started off on the phone together doing telesales. And we kind of worked ourselves up to supervisors where we had about 14 to 16 people working and reporting to us. And then we worked ourselves, I worked myself eventually up to sales manager. For an agent of AT&T as well. And he invited me to a meeting. True story. He invites me to this meeting. He's excited. He said he had gone and seen some information and it's in the same industry of telecommunications. I said, oh, sure, let's go. He jumps in the car. We drive up there. It's a 7 o'clock, what they called business briefing. So, I go in, Marco, it's a couple hundred people in there, well-dressed, well-groomed. And these were Black people. I'm like, wow. I haven't seen this many well-dressed people outside of church. And so they come in, they sit us in the front row, and they're going through this presentation. This guy shows up. He's got a Rolex on, looks really good, polished. He starts giving the presentation, starts talking about telecom. I'm like, yeah, that's what we sell. We were selling, long distance services. Some of you young kids, you don't even know what that is. Everybody has a cell phone now. But back then we used to sell long distance services by the minute. And so we were competitive and they were talking about it. So it made sense in terms of the industry. And then that screen shows up. That same screen my dad had drawn out to me a few years prior that said, oh, that's a pyramid. All the people at the top make all the money and all the people at the bottom do all the work. And so I'm sitting there, Mark, I'm like, oh, there it is. I knew it. So the presentation's over. They come with the little sheet, the enrollment sheet. Give us pins, trying to sign us up as $500 for a company. I can't tell you the name of this company, but its initials, Marco, you know it, ACN. And never joined ACN. But They take us to the back and they start telling us about the customers and this, and all I saw was the picture. I saw the picture of that triangle, and I told my friend, hey, my dad, he's an attorney. He told me about these types of businesses. And I forgot the word pyramid that he told me. I said, it's one of those triangles, one of those triangle things where people at the top make all the money, people at the bottom do all the work. And you shouldn't do it. And so they said, hey, man, you guys go ahead, think about it. And I know you guys have been successful with AT&T, heard all about you guys. Why don't we circle back and we talk about it later? So he and I, we leave, we dash back out. The next morning, we see each other at work. We start talking. And I was like, man, you know what? This may be okay. I don't know, but it's one of those triangle things. He says, well, I'm going to do it. So he convinces the other manager to go with him to the meeting. And I said, no, you can't do it. It's one of those triangle things. Don't do it. So I started convincing them not to join it because it was one of those things. Fast forward the tape. I get roped into another meeting because we never joined ACN. I convinced them not to do it. And I kept working my way up in AT&T. And for about 5 years, I deferred. I'm a college, how do I say this? I quituated. I didn't graduate. I quituated college. So I quituated college because I deferred it, Marco, to actually pursue this corporate role, because I never wanted to be an entrepreneur. I never wanted to be a business owner. None of that stuff was attractive to me. I wanted to be the guy in the corporate executive suite office with the rubber tree plant with my name on the door, featured in, Inc. magazine, Fortune, Forbes as a top executive in a Fortune 10 or Fortune 500 company. And so I'm working my way towards that. I have no interest, no desire in pursuing this. So I deferred college, 5 years. I'm working, working 60, 70, 80 hours a week, but I'm in my 20s, like some of you guys. So work to me was normal, it was natural. I didn't care about anything. It was work, and then you go out, you have a few drinks, you party, you have fun, you got money. I had my sports car, all of these types of things. And I had a girlfriend at the time. And this girlfriend, she comes to me. Of course, she tells me about the pyramid thing. And this time, this is not with ACN. It's with a company, Marco, drum roll. They're selling a juice. I said, oh, God. Marco, they're selling a juice, man. I'm like, oh, no. She's trying to convince me. Her parents at the time, they were running a home health care agency. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that type of business. And they're running this home health care agency, doing extremely well. And she comes to me. She helped me get my first apartment. So I'm kind of indebted to her. And she's telling me about it. I'm like, I tell her I'm negative. You think you're anti-MLM? I was back then. You got to remember, this is 2005, 2006. So this was way before the advent of YouTube, way before the advent of social media today as we know it. But I'm the chief anti-MLM guy. You either gonna go to jail or hell. Don't do it. And she convinces me, you got to do this. You got to do it. So to keep the peace, any one of y'all been in a relationship, you know how to keep the peace. To keep the peace, I said, how much is it to join? She says it's $200. $200? Oh, here's the money. Here's my card. Just sign me up. Because I'm thinking, Marco, this will keep the peace. You're not going to talk to me about your little pyramid thing no more. At this time, now I know the name is not that triangle thing. It's a pyramid thing. I said, here it is. You sign me up. Whatever it is, the juice is loose. Send the juice to the house. They sign me up. And Marco, about a week later, the juice shows up. I'm like, Jesus, what am I going to do with this juice? I don't want this juice, man. I'm drinking Sunny Delight. I don't want to drink this juice. So I set the juice on the table. I'm supposed to refrigerate the juice, I guess. But I set it I wasn't even thinking about it. She comes by the apartment. She sees the juice. And she's like, why didn't you drink the juice? And I'm like, oh, no, all is good. And then she invites me to a meeting. Margo, I didn't want to go to the meeting. But to keep the peace, the meeting was literally at the Hilton Hotel across the street from the AT&T building. I have no excuse. Got to go to the meeting. It's another business briefing. I show up to the meeting, another few hundred people, suited and booted. I go into the meeting. I'm mad, but I can't show it because I want this relationship to work. I get in, there's two women up there presenting, and it sounds like a bunch of nonsense. And again, the screen shows up with the pyramid. I'm like, oh my God, here we go. Meeting is over. They hand me the paperwork and the pen. I said, no, I'm already in. I'm going to jail with y'all. I'm already in. You ain't got to convince me. So they said, oh, okay, no problem. So I cut tail. I run out of there. We get back. Everything is fine. And then one fateful Sunday, this is when everything changed. I get called. She calls me. She says, hey, we're going to the coffee shop to meet the big guy, the top earner. I said, oh, God, the top earner. Now, you got to remember, Marco, I'm balling out of control back then. I'm 60, 70 G's a year. This is when $60,000, $70,000 a year was like $170,000 in today's money. I got my own apartment, got my own stuff. Oh. I said, okay, what time is the meeting? She says, it's 4 o'clock. We're just going to have coffee. I said, man, if I don't go to this meeting with her, it's going to be bad. I go to I'll never forget it. The name of the coffee shop, you can look it up, fact check me. Muddy Waters Coffee Shop. It's probably not in business today, but Muddy Waters Coffee Shop. I go, Marco, to the coffee shop, and so, probably about 40, 50 people there. And they used to give us tags back then, a blue tag and a red. You've seen something like this? They could give you a little name tag. And I had my little tag on, Jarrod, blue tag for guests. I'm standing outside because I really don't want to be here. I'm standing outside. The guy pulls up. They had told me about the guy. They had told me about his 745 Li BMW that he drives, and his wife's retired, and they got time freedom. They don't have to wake up to an alarm clock. Oh, I mean, the whole shebang. I'm like, oh, whatever. So guy shows up, and sure enough, he comes. I'm by the door. He says, hey, how you doing? And Jarrod, how you doing? I'm like, great. I'm fantastic. Blah, blah, blah. We go sit down, and he starts talking. And this guy was good. I mean, this dude was good. I mean, the way he communicated, the way he spent, Marco, he spent the first 45 minutes of the presentation not talking about juice. He didn't mention juice. He didn't mention the company. He just started talking about his story. So I'm sitting in there drinking my little coffee. I'm captivated. I was not drinking the juice. I was drinking the coffee. He finishes up, and they start passing around his checks. At that time, the direct deposit wasn't the deal. It was checks. So they start passing around the checks, and checks get to me, and I'm like, whoa, 14,000, 16,000, 18,000, 24,000 for the week. I'm like, I know they lied. He's definitely going to jail. Then they start asking people in the room, how many of you got, how many people, how long you been in the business? And this guy would say, I've been in the business 2 months. How many people on your team now? Oh, I got 300 people on my team. How many people did you recruit? Oh, I only recruited 2, because they had a binary system, right? And so they were really selling people on this binary, but I'm already in. And so she starts telling me, yeah, you've got people in your group already that you get paid on, just like all these other folks. And I'm like, I didn't talk to nobody about this scam. How do I have people on my team? And they started explaining it to me. Long story short, Marco, they what I call BAM family, book a meeting from a meeting. That's what BAM fam stands for. BAMFAM, book a meeting from a meeting. They BAM fam me to another meeting, and from that meeting to another meeting. And now I'm intrigued, not about the juice, not even about the pyramid. I was intrigued about the people and the stories. You've got engineers, you've got physicians, you've got, you've got school teachers, different professions of people that's all involved in this scam. And I'm like, I'm in my 20s. I'm like, why are all these people involved in this? You're a police officer, you're a federal marshal, you're an attorney, all of these, prolific professions that we're taught to aspire to achieve. And man, I will never forget, it dawned on me. Scam, SCAM, still confused about money. Yeah, take it in, deep breath. Let it resonate. Yeah, we're gonna have fun tonight. Yeah, you still confused about money. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about me. I was still confused about money. And I'm sitting there watching these people week after week talking about why they were doing this. And I kept showing up. I kept coming. I kept attending the meeting. And then here's what happened. And I'll turn it back over to you for the next series of questions. And this is honestly why I'm here today. This is 21 years later. This event that I'm about to tell you about. I hear people complain about, the cost of events and you're spending more money. I'm that guy. I'm spending way more money than I'm making at the time. I got the juice on auto ship. I don't know if you guys know what auto ship is. The juice is loose. It's stacked up. I mean, I couldn't drink enough juice. I'm bathing with the juice. The juice is there. I'm making no money. I go to this event. It's called a success seminar. This was in 2005. 2-day event. They convinced me, you got to come if you're serious. If you really want to be professional at this, you got to come. I said, oh, no problem. I like the environment. I like the motivation. This stuff is helping me in my sales job. A lot of the things you're teaching, I didn't know about personal development, Think and Grow Rich, and all of these type of books. I was introduced to that world. So I liked it. It wasn't even about the money at that point. I sit there, and I'm going through this whole process. Those 2 days, and I hear this guy talking and teaching and training, and I'm just naive little 20-something-year-old. I don't have YouTube to be a content creator. Congratulations, 112,000 subs. That's amazing, bro. No, that's whole nother level. I mean, what's your top video got? Like 60, 70, 100,000 views? Probably more than that now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have one that has almost 1 million, but it's not up there right now. But I don't know, like 800,000 on my ACN video, something like that, 800 and some thousand. I don't know.
And it's banned in Canada, or did you get the ban lifted?
No, it's there. It's there.
It's there. Okay, good. So, but that's a feat in and of itself. Congrats on that.
Yeah, thank you.
But I'm sitting there, I didn't have these avenues. Remember, there was no Uber back then. There's no Amazon back then. There's no a lot of the gig economy that we have today. None of that existed in 2005. So all you had was Costco, Mary Kay, Avon, and a few different companies. But man, I left out of there after those 2 days, after being brainwashed. I was like, man, I'm ready to charge through hell with a squirt gun. And from 2005 to 2025, this is what I've been doing full time. So I know we've got some questions. I know we got some debate points that you want to get to. I'm excited.
Yeah, wow. Appreciate you sharing the story, of course. I mean, where do I start? You came across my content on, I'm not sure if it was Instagram first or YouTube first. I know you left some comments on Instagram and a comment on YouTube as well. I think the Patrick Bet-David video was, I think, where chronologically the first comment was left.
Yes.
And
I hated PBD. Oh, I hated PBD. He was a Trump supporter. He was brash. I used to comment on his stuff all the time. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay. No worries. So I don't even know where to start with this. There's so much there, so much about the background, there's so much you said. Well, let me start, I guess, with one thing, which bounces perfectly off the story you were telling about them drawing this picture, in those initial meetings, drawing a picture, and it was a pyramid. Yes. And you didn't want to be part of a pyramid. So can I just, so that we're on the same page, can I just get from you what your understanding is of a pyramid? Because you mentioned, one of those things where all the people at the bottom are making a little bit, but the guy at the top is making the most. So can you sort of just, in a condensed way, explain to me your understanding of a pyramid? What is a pyramid?
So my understanding back then was exactly what I described. All the people at the top make all the money. All the people at the bottom do all the work. But the framing behind it, Marco, was that the people at the top were there because they got in early or they got in first. And because they got in early and they got in first, all the other suckers came in after them. And that's why the people at the top were making all the money. So that was my idea of what a pyramid was. Of course, it's now kind of evolved. Not past that point, though.
Okay.
Not past the point where the people at the top are making all the money. Absolutely, they are. But that's no different than any other profession. It's the people at the top making all the money and the people down at the bottom doing not all of the work, but different styles of work for that organization or for that company to be successful.
Okay, so let me sort of apply it to a real company. Like, would you say that Walmart is a pyramid?
I think Walmart is a retailer.
Okay.
It's the largest retailer in the world.
Could I not draw Walmart's hierarchy as like, they have a CEO and a board of directors, and, the individual stores have managers and assistant managers and cashiers and janitors. Could you not draw that, hierarchically as a pyramid?
Absolutely not. I think it's
okay.
I think it's a fallacy when people try to compare the two. And it's elementary, because you're talking about a retailer that has employees.
Yeah.
They pay those managers, they pay that staff.
Right.
Because if you think about it, and I'm not sure if you're a fan of Robert Kiyosaki. I was earlier on, but he's kind of little gone off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of the things he talks about in some of his books, I do agree with those philosophies. And he talks about in the cash flow quadrant, the EBSI circle, or the EBSI diagram. And so when you look at Walmart as a retailer, they have employees. These are not independent contractors. These are not 1099 salespeople. These are people getting a W-2 every, I don't know if they get paid week or bi-weekly, but no, I wouldn't consider them a pyramid.
Right. I would agree with you. I would agree with you on that. Walmart is not a pyramid, even though you could draw the structure, the corporate structure, or the employee hierarchy structure in a pyramid shape. It doesn't make it a pyramid scheme, and that's what I'm concerned with. I'm concerned with trying to. The reason I bring people on this show to do debates or have conversations or what have you is to delineate between what some people seem to think as two separate concepts: a legitimate multi-level marketing company and an illegal pyramid scheme. In my opinion, multi-level marketing is simply a disguise for illegal pyramid schemes, and that if you look at any multi-level marketing company, you will find all of the red flags that the Federal Trade Commission outlines as an illegal pyramid scheme, as well as the criteria I like to follow is Robert Fitzpatrick's for not Robert Kiyosaki, but Robert Fitzpatrick's 4 red flags for a pyramid scheme. And those are pay to play, extreme money transfer, emphasis on recruitment, and the endless chain. So, of course, Walmart, you don't have to pay to play. Walmart, there is not an extreme money transfer where money is being funneled from employees at the bottom to the top brass. There is not there's not an endless chain of recruitment. Cashiers are not recruiting more cashiers who are recruiting more cashiers, etc. And there's not an incentive to recruit. You don't advance to the rank of assistant manager because you recruited 3 cashiers, and you don't advance to manager because you recruited 3 assistant managers. So those are the many governments across the world agree on those criteria as well of being an illegal pyramid scheme. And so, I think multi-level marketing is simply a disguise for pyramid schemes. I think they're all pyramid schemes. And you sort of joked earlier about we're all going to go to jail together. And obviously, you're not in jail. You've not gone to jail. You've been doing this for 20 years. I don't think that your lack of incarceration I don't think your lack of incarceration is indicative of what MLM is. I don't think that's indicative of MLM being totally legitimate and good. And during our comment exchange on Instagram, I made an analogy where I said that slavery was legal for hundreds of years. And this was in response to you saying that, the internet doesn't decide what is legal and what's not. There's laws for that. And I said basically that I disagree with the law. I disagree with the law right now that says multi-level marketing is a legitimate form of selling products and recruiting other people to sell products. I think that's a lie. I don't think that's true. So I want to figure out, I guess, what you think. What you think I need some more information in order to be able to delineate, and maybe you can help me to understand what a legitimate multi-level marketing company is.
I think it's a great question, number one. Number two, I don't think you need more information. I think through the interviews you have done that I have seen, the research that you've done, and the passion that you have behind creating this entire channel, and really, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, that started because of a best friend, you and a best friend of yours from high school?
It didn't start because of that. It was several years after that happened that I actually started doing YouTube and looking into MLMs. And I actually never even planned to make this a sort of avenue for my content. I just one day was planning to make a one-off video about this multi-level marketing company. And after it took off, and after that I became passionate about it. because I learned actually how deep it goes, and I learned that there are hundreds of copycat companies all employing the same money transfer scheme under a different disguise. Some sell essential oils, some sell juice. You mentioned the juice. Some sell insurance. So I became intrigued by it, and I became passionate about it. And I've, heard from, of course, thousands of people over the years about, their experiences, which are all a variation of my own story, losing friends and loved ones to these cults. So yeah, go on. I didn't mean to cut you off.
The root word of cult is culture. Every organization and profession, yes, culture. If something is wrong with you, if you're sick and we're trying to get a diagnosis, what the doctor and physicians do is they'll take a sample of your blood and put it under a microscope to look at the cult. They do a culture check.
Sure.
And so the culture of network marketing or multi-level marketing, I know people use those terms interchangeably. So it's evolved. I mean, you hear words like direct sales, you hear words like multi-level marketing or network marketing or pyramid selling or social selling, relationship marketing. These are all terminology that people have created and used to get away from the stigma that is attached to what multi-level marketing originally was in the 70s when America's Way or Amway or Shackley or some of these companies really start to forge the space and for it to evolve to become what it is. And so I think it's disingenuous for me to say or to argue a point of legal and moral. I think you use the word legitimate, right? Legitimacy points to the authenticity or to the morality of a concept. So we're not debating, we're not discussing the legalities of it because it is legal. Multi-level marketing, there's a delineation, even on FTC, which you oftentimes quote, the Federal Trade Commission has a delineation between multi-level marketing, a legitimate model, versus pyramids, which are illegal. And so I think what you have to unpack, when I say you, I'm not talking about you, Marco, because I think you already had this and you sit still in your truth of what you believe it is, what you feel it is, what you think it is. Nothing I say or anybody says is going to convince you. And so I'm not trying to do that tonight or today whenever people are watching. I want to talk to that young man or that young woman that's there, that maybe they are thinking of joining an insurance network marketing company or a juice company, or, to sell some essential oils or whatever product or service it is.
Right. Okay.
And I want to talk to them from a perspective of someone who's been doing this, not someone who's onlooker. And I get into debates with friends of mine that have played professional sports. Like basketball is my favorite sport. What's your favorite sport?
I'm not really into sports, to be honest.
Oh, really? Okay. Sorry to hear that. But, one of my, that's, you got to be in sports. But anyway, my favorite sport is basketball. Actually, next to basketball is probably UFC. You don't watch UFC?
Oh, yeah, I like UFC. I do.
Okay, that's a sport. So who's your favorite fighter? You got a favorite fighter?
I don't have a favorite.
Not John Jones? Not
I mean, John Jones is kind of out, right? Is he still going?
Yeah, we don't know. He may be in at the White House.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, true. Okay. Okay, but go ahead. I digress.
No, it's all good. My point is this. When we're talking or debating or discussing legalities, is it legal? And the flippant response that me as a Black American with Nigerian heritage, my mother is from Nigeria, my dad's from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. They met in undergrad and both went to law school. So both of my parents are attorneys. They've been practicing law, trial attorneys for the last 3 decades. One of the things that I would argue is that when using slavery to make a point of legality, it always hits a nerve for me.
Yep.
Especially from people that don't have ancestors that have experienced slavery in the context of Black people. I think it's such a flippant response. That's what triggered the response from me on your page. And so I wanted to underscore what that was all about. But to the larger point that we're discussing, legal, is it legal? Is there a delineation between multi-level marketing as a model and pyramids? Yes, the FTC says there is. You and some others say, no, it's the same thing.
Well, can I actually? Yeah, sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I actually do disagree with that.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I actually don't think multi-level marketing is legal. And let me explain what I mean by that. Pyramid schemes are illegal. And the
Yes.
FTC says on their website, on the webpage called Multi-Level Marketing Businesses and Pyramid Schemes, interestingly, they share a webpage. The FTC
That's not
says,
interesting. That's not interesting
okay,
because
okay,
the truth is pyramid schemes try to disguise themselves under the model of multi-level marketing.
that's
So
right.
the 4 points that you just mentioned by Robert, Fitzgerald?
Fitzpatrick.
He's spot on.
Okay, great.
Absolutely
Okay,
fine.
great. So the reason I say I don't think multi-level marketing is legal is because the FTC offers this caveat on the website where they say that many pyramid schemes look like legitimate multi-level marketing companies, and they give you some red flags to look out for in order to determine this for yourself. And I have spotted those red flags with every single multi-level marketing company, whether they were members of the Direct Selling Association or not. And so I actually think that the term multi-level marketing as a whole is just part of the disguise. And I think the most digestible euphemism or analogy that I could make for people to understand this is thinking of the Church of Scientology. Well, the Church of Scientology is a group. Some people would call it a cult, but it is a group that has an ideology and a way of thinking and a way of making money. Several ways of making money through courses, mindset training, auditing, etc. And they make a lot of money. And some people would say they have a disguise of a religion in order to achieve a tax-exempt status and continue doing what they're doing without being prosecuted. I would say that multi-level marketing and the Direct Selling Association are doing exactly the same thing, just under the disguise of business. Not a religion, but a business. And they use the language of business, just like Scientology uses the language of church. They have, whatever the terminology is, deacons and pastors and, whatever. So they have a very thorough disguise. And I think that MLM has a very thorough disguise. And there's actually, MLM itself, multi-level marketing, is a disguise. And then they disguise it further with the sort of specifics on each individual company. Like some companies will add another layer of disguise and be like, we're not just a legitimate multi-level marketing company. We're dealing with skincare, or we're dealing with coffee, or we're dealing with juice. We're dealing with insurance. But it is a disguise all the same. And further to that point about my disagreement that MLM is legal because pyramid schemes are illegal, and I think they're all pyramid schemes, the FTC says that they have a list of all the companies they've sued or shut down. Okay, all of them had products. All of them were legitimate multi-level marketing companies until the day that they were determined not to be. So this means that at any given moment, any of the active MLMs could be determined to be a pyramid scheme pending an investigation from the authorities. And many of them don't get investigated because it's a huge undertaking. It's a financially massive, expensive thing to do to litigate an MLM company that could be worth billions of dollars and has the money to burn on resources to take on the government. And they're going after one at a time. They're not doing anything about the overall problem. So anyways, I don't want to rant on, but the FTC has refused to name one company. Think of Amway. You mentioned Amway. They've been around since the 70s. Why can the FTC not even say Amway is an example of a legitimate multi-level marketing company? They've never named one. They've never said if one exists. I've asked in person when I spoke at a conference in Washington, D.C. with members of the Federal Trade Commission there. I said, just tell me one. And nobody, either they can or they cannot, or they refuse to.
Okay.
So, yeah, anyways, I want to let you continue, but I just wanted to say that as a matter of fact, I disagree with the statement that MLM is legal. We both agree that pyramid schemes are illegal, but I disagree with the statement that MLM is legal. And I'm sure that, bringing it back to the slavery thing, I'm sure that there were people who tried to cover up their benefiting of slavery by saying actually that this guy was an employee. They dressed it up. I'm sure that, in many places in the world today, that still happens where they wouldn't call it slavery, but they'd call it something else. So go ahead. I don't want to.
Well, let me underscore slavery one more time.
Sure.
Africans were stripped and stolen from their homelands. Millions of them buried under the oceans as they were transported through the
Okay.
transatlantic slave ships. And
Well, I'm not just talking about African American slavery. I mean, slavery existed long before that. Egyptians enslaved Egyptians, Arabs enslaved Arabs, Africans enslaved Africans. So I get that you said that there was I forget the word you used, but there was sort of a knee-jerk reaction to me mentioning slavery. I don't, don't take it as me holding up a mirror in some way because you're a black man. It has nothing to do with that. Slavery is a human global phenomenon that's existed since long before the African American slave trade in the United States.
Sure.
So
we don't disagree there, and it exists in different forms today. But in that particular message of you talking about, they could say they were employed, they were getting paid. No, it's completely different. And I don't like utilizing slavery in any context as a parallel personally. You could
I could give you a different parallel. I could talk to you about the reverse. I could say that, marijuana, despite having proven to not, kill anyone, nobody's ever overdosed on marijuana. It was illegal up until 10 years ago. I remember people, doing protests about legalizing marijuana. And now now the government taxes it. It's legitimate. There's weed shops all over the place. So the reverse is also true. Not everything that's illegal is immoral or amoral or unethical, and vice versa. Not everything that's legal is ethical and moral. We're still developing as a society, and I think MLM is one of those very unfortunate thorns in our society that still needs to be erased because we haven't seemed to have solved that for various reasons. But go ahead.
But Marco, that's where you and I disagree, because again, I'm in the profession and have been in this profession for 20 years. I don't see it as what Apostle Paul would say as a thorn in his side. I see this really as a bridge. And I tell people all the time when they say, well, Jarrod, what is multi-level marketing? I tell them it's one beggar telling another beggar where they found some bread. That's my definition of multi-level marketing. Let me say it again. It's one beggar telling another beggar where they found the bread. One more time for the audience that's in the back not listening closely. It's one beggar telling another beggar where they found some bread. So what me and Marco are discussing has nothing to do with the model. You and I are discussing the merits. The model is completely legal all around the country of the United States and in Canada and many countries around the world. Why do I say that? The Federal Trade Commission, which is the governing body that goes in not only with the DSA to say, okay, this is a legitimate company, this model of doing business, this form of distribution is legal.
Sure.
We're not arguing or debating that. That's already set. Now, we can debate the morality. Are there casualties? One mentor told me, Jarrod, there are casualties in every war. Is everybody going to succeed? Is everybody going to make a full-time income? Is everybody going to make 6 or 7 figures? Absolutely not. So I'd like to unpack the real discussion, because we are no longer discussing is multi-level marketing legal. I think we could set that to the side and agree
that's fine.
That according to the governments, it is a legal model. Whether we like it or not, it's legal. Here's the point that I want to talk about: the morality of it, the legitimacy of it, because there's such a stigma associated to network marketing. And to your point, there have been companies that have been shut down, not for the model, but for the marketing. There have been companies that have been shut down, not for the model, but for
the model. Also the model. Vemma was shut down for being an illegal pyramid scheme.
Pull up the indictment. Pull up their indictment. Pull up their indictment.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've read it.
I can put it up.
Pull it up. Okay. Let's pull it up together and bore our audience today.
I could give you a different example. Costco.
No. You said Vemma. Let's talk about Breakout and all these guys that put up the Vemma deal.
Yep.
Because we used to compete against Vemma.
Yep.
And what they were doing, according to the document, was going after and targeting high school and college kids.
That's part of it.
Deceptive marketing.
Deceptive marketing is a separate charge. Yep. Deceptive marketing is a separate claim.
Now, another part of what they were charged with, and you can pull it up, I don't know if you have it pulled up, was talking about external consumption versus internal consumption. So remember, the purpose of the model of multi-level marketing is for you to recruit a distributor, and that distributor to not only recruit other distributors, but to acquire customers. That is the purpose. The purpose of recruiting a distributor is so that distributor can be a doorway to 10 to 15, maybe 30 serviceable customers. Here's where multi-level marketing lost its way and got into trouble. This is why you and I don't disagree. I think the anti-MLM community ought to be celebrated and praised and embraced. Why? I look at the anti-MLM community as a detoxifier. But y'all have come in to help.
But what's difficult for me though, Jarrod, and I am sorry to interject here, but what's difficult for me is that not just you, every single person that I've ever debated, regardless any company they were in, they've all said that. Marco, I love what you do. I love the work you do. Anti-MLM, it's amazing. We actually agree on a whole bunch of stuff. There's bad apples, blah, 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 blah. And it's like everybody I've talked to levies the same arguments and talks in exactly the same way, but fails to ever bring anything true or sensible or even decipherable to these conversations. I mean, one example, like, are you comfortable with me saying the name of the company that you mentioned to me you're a part of? Can you say?
No, don't mention the company I'm a part of.
Don't mention the company you're a part of. Okay, so you wouldn't take the opportunity to mention to the people who are watching, the thousands of people who are watching this, the company that you're in case they wanted to sign up under you, because this is a great potentially educational opportunity for them as well. I wanted to give you that chance.
No. I'm not. I'm on the executive side now, so I'm not signing people up.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The second part of that is the conversation and people are going to find me, and we're going to have great conversations after this. But here's what I would say to you: when you say offering up truth, and I've heard the argument, people, I love what you do, and it's necessary. Here's what I mean when I say it. Number one, it's not to patronize you or the anti-MLM community. Here's why I say that. There are things that you guys have uncovered, unpacked, and voices that you've given to victims that has caused some companies, not all, some companies, not all, some companies to clear up their mess. For example, in the landmark case, we were talking about Vemma, and you never pulled up. I don't know if you did.
If I pull it up, I'm going to lose you on the screen. So I'm going to lose you if I pull. Okay.
No, don't pull it up on the screen. I want us to revisit why they were shut down.
I can edit it in here later. If I upload this later, I can put it in later. No problem.
Yeah, let's put it in later, because I want people to see it was the methods, the marketing messaging, the income claims that they were making. Not only that, the target audience of kids that they were going after. These were a combination. There were outlandish statements made by overzealous young people, and this is not to blame them. I'm sure they were excited. There are people that still drink the product today. Yeah, there are people that still drink that product and swear by that product today. I've never tried the product. I was never in Vemma, but I'm saying to you that they were not shut down because they were a multi-level marketing company. I don't know.
I have it here. I have it here on I have on my phone. I just pulled up the summary of ChatGPT, because obviously reading a full court, document is going to be tedious. Okay, anyone can go fact check me. Anyone can go fact check us. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I just asked, was Vemma shut down for being a pyramid scheme? Yes, Vemma Nutrition.
No. That's deceptive. Why is it deceptive? We are not saying it was not shut down for being a pyramid scheme. We're making a delineation that they weren't shut down for being a what? Drum roll. Multi-level marketing company.
I didn't say that. I said they were shut down for being a pyramid scheme, and prior to that, they were looked at as just a multi-level marketing company, which lends itself to my point that how can any actual consumer in the market know whether the company they're getting into is actually an illegal pyramid scheme? And this actually this lends itself to my claim that every MLM is actually just a pyramid scheme in disguise. Because how is it possible?
Mary Kay is a pyramid scheme?
Yep.
Avon is a pyramid scheme?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm glad we're on the record that your thoughts, not nobody else's thoughts, in terms of people that actually put policies in place, people that have a governing body, people that have a legislative body for the last 100 years of this profession. But Marco says, I think, which is fine.
What exactly is the profession, by the way? What's the profession? What do you mean,
what is it? Multi-level marketing is a profession.
What is it? What do you do in the profession? Like, if I'm a salesman as a profession, if I'm a car salesman as a profession, I sell cars. If you're a professional network marketer or multi-level marketer or social seller or digital franchise or any of the euphemisms that are used.
We use the word multi-level marketer.
Okay, what is the profession exactly?
As a professional multi-level marketer, you have the skills, you have the network, you have the experience to actually earn a full-time income because of what you have been taught, what you have learned, and what you have done throughout the years.
What do you do?
You are a professional.
It reminds me of what's the guy's name? What's the guy's name with
Let me tell you the three things you do.
What's the guy's name with the beard? The music producer guy, Rick something. What's the music producer? Rick Rubin. You know, there's that famous meme of him where they're like, you don't know how to play music? He's like, no. And they're like, you don't know how to read music? He's like, no, I don't. You don't know how to compose? No. And the interviewer's like, so what do you get paid for? And he's like, I get paid from the trust that people have in my taste or something like that. Some non-answer. I mean, that's exactly, the experience, go on.
No. We can't do that. Let me tell you why we can't do that. You get paid on your YouTube channel because of your speech. The things that you've learned. Now, this is the parallel. I'm not saying YouTube or being a
go ahead.
Multi-level marketer, but you and I would agree there are people that are content creators professionally. When I ask you, hey, what do you do? Oh, I'm a content creator. I'm a YouTuber.
Mm-hmm.
What validates you being? Can anybody lay claim that, oh, I'm a YouTuber? Can anybody just lay claim to being a YouTuber?
Sure.
Or a content creator?
Sure.
But what delineates, what separates the dichotomy between anybody just saying it and somebody like you that has 112,000 subscribers is the results. How did you get the results? Trial and error. You have to go learn how to market. You have to learn how do I post? What do I post? You have to go probably do some coursework, right? You have to learn. You have to get a mentor, somebody to teach you how to be a professional YouTuber or a professional content creator. So as a professional multi-level marketer, you know what I had to learn how to do? How to sell.
Okay, sales. That's a good answer. Sales. Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
Number two, I had to learn how to recruit.
Okay.
Number three, I had to learn how to train.
Okay.
Those are three skills that the majority of people don't have. That's why they don't earn a professional income.
Great.
They're not professionals in multi-level marketing. It takes time. It takes experience. It takes a trial and error to be able to develop those skills, just like in any other profession. So you name a profession to me that you are aware of where everybody makes the same type of money.
I have a difficulty with the premise of the question. Because
of course you do.
Okay, for example, there are plenty of people that work in different companies but all get paid the same minimum wage. That's a great example right there.
You're talking about employees. I'm talking about performance or production based. We're not in the E quadrant.
Well, then your question defeats itself, because how could, if it's performance based, like sales would be a great example, commission based sales. I mean, I'm sure there are people who by happenstance make the same amount of money as each other in different companies, but are they all making exactly the same amount? No.
Yeah, well, you're making my point. They're not making the same because they're not producing the same.
Okay.
And even if you work, for example, at Bentley dealership and he works at the Rolls Royce dealership,
right,
if you're not producing the amount of sales at Rolls Royce as he's doing at Bentley, your incomes are going to be in two different tax brackets.
Okay, so great. You narrowed it down for me, which is what I was looking for you to do when I asked what do you actually do. And you pointed to three things: sell, recruit, train. So I'd like to go through why I think each of those three examples as it pertains to multi-level marketing are nonsense. And this is going to be this is going to be a challenge. This is going to be where we actually have our back and forth. Okay.
I love it.
Okay, so go ahead. Did you want to say anything first before I explain why I think all three of those things are complete nonsense?
Go for it. I like it. Let's go for it.
Okay, I think the word sell is complete and utter nonsense, hogwash, gobbledygook, flim-flam, babble when it comes to MLM, because oftentimes, MLM companies use the word sell actually to describe a purchase. And what I mean by this is when somebody joins an MLM company and they have their downline, for example, the company will say, okay, well, if you want to earn this amount of money and hit this rank, you need to have this much amount in sales, in PV, which is your own purchases, and as well as TV. Volume. Yep, personal volume, as well as TV or team volume.
For health and wellness or nutritional companies.
Sure. Or Also, not or, also, your TV or OV, sometimes they label it differently, your team volume or your organization volume or your downline volume or however they describe it, which is the purchases of people who sign up below you. Now, you mentioned internal consumption before. That's a completely internal consumption. Why would my own purchases, and I'll get to why I think it's complete nonsense, why would my own purchases be called sales? It's sales for the company, but it's not sales for me, the distributor who's signing up as a contractor. Just one second. It's purchases. So they're using a doublespeak here to call purchases sales. It's a sale only if you're standing in the corporate world, if you're on the corporate side. For the distributors, it's not a sale at all. It's actually a purchase. So the reason I think it's nonsense is because let's compare it to a company, again, that we both agreed is not a pyramid scheme, Walmart. Would a cashier at Walmart have to buy anything from Walmart as a contingency pertaining to what they actually get paid? No, they get paid hourly. It would be completely deceptive to say that a Walmart employee, or, you know, we're equating the Walmart employee here to the MLM distributor, for them to have to buy something is completely senseless. And it would be doubly senseless for the company to then say, oh yeah, the purchases of that Walmart employee reflect that employee's sales. So that's the first reason. That's why I think the word sell in MLM is a complete lie. So go ahead.
Let me redress. Let me give redress.
Please.
Again, now speaking as someone that's actually doing this and has done this for a living for 20 years, I have never been in a company, been a part of a company where you got paid on your personal volume. Let me say that again. I have never been involved in a company or even heard of a company where you get paid on your personal volume orders.
Okay, so then what does the personal volume do? So then what's the function?
I'm glad you asked.
What's the function of it then?
Great question.
Yeah.
So your personal volume legally from companies was to allow you to be able to have the ability to earn on your overall sales volume from the organization, meaning you could not be earning a commission on the sales volume from your organization without a personal volume minimum order requirements.
Okay.
Some companies did that through what they called auto ship, which we frowned upon, we being anti-MLM community, like, why am I buying all these products? That's where you got the term garage qualified from.
Yes.
Because the charge that was levied against companies were the only reason why those distributors are buying that juice, they're buying that coffee, they're buying that weight loss, is so that they can earn a commission. So it evolved.
So why do they do that though? Why did the company say you need to have a minimum amount of PV in order to earn on your downline sales? If I'm the leader of a sales organization and my people are producing, whatever that means, buying or selling, why would me also buying from the company have anything to do with that? Why would I, as a worker, have to pay to buy stuff from the company I'm working for?
I think that's a great question. Disingenuous context. You're not a worker as an employee. Remember,
whatever.
No, it's not.
Okay, as a profession, if you take issue with me using the word worker, distributor, professional, whatever you want to call it.
No.
Okay.
You are an independent contractor.
Great.
You are a 1099 independent contractor. You're not a W-2 employee.
Okay, great.
You're not getting paid a salary to purchase. So the analogy that you're using in terms of a Walmart employee doesn't have to buy anything. That's arguing apples versus oranges.
Okay, again, same question. If you want to, if we're reclassifying it,
to your point. Let me get to your point.
Same question.
Let me get to your point. Your point is, why were companies, and correct me if I'm wrong,
why would you have to purchase anything?
Okay, great question. Their legal stance was in order for you as an independent contractor to be paid on the sales volume of the organization. You must have personal production met.
Yeah, I heard you say that. I heard that, but why? My question is why?
I don't know why. That's what I'm saying to you.
But okay, so let's just figure this out together as two intelligent men. Why would a company...
Well, I wouldn't say I'm intelligent, but go ahead.
Okay, I think you're intelligent. Why would a company, forget MLM, forget the status of independent contractor, employee, whatever, why would a company that is depending on a workforce, a sales force, a distributor force, why would they need or require, legally or otherwise, for those independent contractors to also buy stuff from them?
Why would they make it legal?
Why would they make it a requirement or a de facto requirement to also buy stuff? If I said, hey, Jarrod, I'm starting a sales company. We're going to be selling blenders. Okay, and you're going to get paid $10 for every blender you sell. But also, you're not getting anything unless you also buy a blender every month. Wouldn't you be like, why can't I just go sell the blenders, take them on consignment, and make my commission? Why do I also have to buy from you? That's my question.
That was my question as well. But here was the answer that was given. It was a legal answer, because that was the first thing I asked when I started to take the business seriously. Like,
okay.
Why do I have to have this personal requirement? So there were two delineations. There were two reasons as to why or how you could do it.
Okay.
The reason why I've already addressed. It was a legal function. This is what was explained. In order for you to be paid on the sales from the organization, you must have personal production generated. That personal production could have come one of two ways. And I want you guys to lean in and listen. For all of you that have never been involved in a company, you've never made money in a network marketing company or a multi-level marketing company, I want to just give you the explanation so you're clear, not running around parroting narratives that somebody who's never done it, not talking about you, Marco, but people that have never done it are telling you why they think it's done.
Okay.
The reason why is because it was a legal term that said, in order for you to earn, and y'all can fact check this, go on FTC, you can go on any Google,
go on,
whatever you want to go on. The two reasons or the two ways how you can meet this personal volume requirement was either A, through personal sales, meaning you sold 100 PV to customers. You did 100 in personal production to 4, 5, 10 customers, whatever it was. Or you can meet that requirement with an auto shipment of product that will be delivered to you that you could use personally, or you could, give out in samples, or that you can give out to people. Now, remember, this was under the old model of network marketing, auto ships. Today, when I say today, I'm talking about within the last decade. What has happened is the evolution, and this is why I said I wasn't blowing smoke in terms of the anti-MLM community. The anti-MLM community, to me, was one of the forces that caused some companies to shift from auto ship consumption, which was internal consumption, to external consumption, which was the original purpose of multi-level marketing. It was for you as a independent contractor to bring external users to the company. Now, when you look at most companies today, you will see the auto ship requirement has been removed to now personal customers that are on the books that can be tracked, and that data can be verified by the company. For example, company I represented for about 3.5 years, and I think you've talked about them before. It was a health and wellness company. It was the last company I worked with.
What was it?
$500 million company. Company called It Works. When I was with It Works, that company required you to have 4 what they called loyal customers, a minimum of 4 loyal customers. These would be people that were not in the company. They were not reps. They were not distributors. They were not independent contractors. They would have to be external users buying whatever product it was for you to meet the minimum requirement in terms of personal production for you to now get paid on the team sales. Now, we don't have to debate. We don't have to argue the legitimacy of it. I'm giving you the legal aspects of
but in a practical sense, right? Isn't it fair? I mean, this is my deduction. Doesn't it make sense that the requirement, forget the legal thing. I think they can say that, and maybe that's the answer you were given. I won't hold you to that. But to me, it makes sense that the reason that they require purchases from the distributors themselves is because the distributors are the customers. That is who's buying the product. The distributors are the customers, and if they didn't make it a mandate for the distributors to buy the products themselves, they would have no way of presenting some sort of a finance spreadsheet to the SEC each year when they do their taxes or whatever, or the IRS, to say like, oh yeah, we have sales. But they've just, by forcing you to buy, they say, oh yeah, we have so many sales. But it was the distributors who bought it. So they're not actually selling anything. It's not sales at all. Because it's not going to genuine customers who actually, to me, a customer, and MLMs have wishy-washy ways of defining the word customer in their vernacular as well. To me, a customer, well, I appreciate you admitting that. To me, a customer is somebody who genuinely has a desire for a product for their own personal use or consumption, and it's not incentivized by any sort of money-making income opportunity or rebate or points or anything. It's a genuine demand. And that's not present in an MLM, where even if the person likes the product, even if they genuinely like the coffee or the energy drink or whatever it is, even if they genuinely like it, we can't take their word for it that they only bought it because they liked it when there's a financial incentive for them to purchase it.
Couple of things. Let's drill down on that. So most companies, remember, this has evolved in the last 10 years. But to your point, I agree with you. How network marketing or multi-level marketing companies defined customers was wholesale customers and retail customers. So the incentive for a person to be a wholesale customer, what we label as a distributor, was they were getting the product at the wholesale level. So some of these people had no intention of selling. They had no intention of recruiting. They had no intention of training. But if I become a distributor, buy your distributor kit, I get access to the products at the wholesale level where I don't have to pay $100 for the juice. I can pay $49 for the juice. Sure, sign me up as a distributor. So to your point, there were distributors or wholesale customers that were buying the product. The data was being tracked by the companies, and companies were saying, oh, these are our customers. They got into trouble by that because the FTC then said through the Herbalife case, remember the Herbalife case, hey, you 200,000 or a million people buying the product, but these are people in the company. Then the company says, well, these are not people really here for our financial gain because look, they haven't recruited anybody. They're not coming at sales trainings. These are people that just love our products. And
He froze.
A dichotomy between your agents, your distributors, your wholesalers, your ambassadors, whatever terminology they label them, affiliates. There has to be a difference between people purchasing products inside of the company and those purchasing outside. And then here was the caveat. The caveat was this. They said, in order for you to be a legitimate, you taking off, you gone?
No, I'm here. I can hear you. I have it outside playing here.
Okay, we can end the call. I'm boring you.
No, I can hear you. It's playing through my speaker.
Okay, but here was the thing. The FTC says, in order for your company to be a legal multi-level marketing company, 50% of your total revenue has to be purchases from external customers, not people in the company, not distributors, not people that have a rep ID. It has to be from people that are not reps, not agents, not distributors. And so you've seen that evolution, especially since the Herbalife case.
Appreciate that. I'm not sure what case you're referring to that says there's some minimum requirement. I do know that last year, 2024, on March 15th, I remember because it's my birthday, Lois Greisman of the FTC Division of Marketing Practices sent two letters, one to Joseph Mariano, who was at the time the head of the Direct Selling Association, another to Peter Marinello, who's part of the Direct Selling Self-Regulatory Council. And she clarified that the FTC does not take the position that there is any sort of minimum or primary source of revenue in order for an MLM company to be considered legitimate or not a pyramid scheme. So I just wanted to put that out there for the record if anybody wants to go fact check that.
Let me give redress to that.
Okay.
Because I want you guys to fact check this. You can go to the DSA site because, first of all, let's remember what the DSA is. A lot of you guys just say stuff, not you, Mark. I'm just saying I've seen this a lot. And you say it and you don't even know what that means. First of all, the Direct Selling Association is not the governing body for multi-level marketing. They are Direct Selling Association, which has a component of multi-level associated with it. That's number one. Number two, the DSA, the World Federal Direct Selling Association, they're different departments that actually govern what's now referred to as multi-level marketing, and there are caveats to it to say, to this case, that you can go back to and look at yourself, what defines a multi-level marketing company that is legal and legitimate. They do not want internal consumption, because if you have internal consumption, which a lot of companies did, then you're not actually participating in multi-level marketing. You are, in fact, a pyramid scheme.
Okay. Okay. I also wanted to mention I appreciate that. I also wanted to mention something you said about wholesaling. I also take issue with the word wholesaling and MLM. I think the word wholesaling is a lie as it pertains to MLM, because the implication is that customers or distributors are getting some sort of better deal than anybody going and clicking onto the website. And I think it's misleading to call this wholesale. I don't want to get into a whole confusing thing, but let's just make a simple analogy, okay? Coca-Cola at their factory manufactures Coca-Cola. They sell it wholesale in large quantities to a retailer like Walmart. Walmart then sells the product on the shelf. That's retail. We agree on this? Absolutely. Retail is when you buy it off the shelf. Wholesale is when the retailer buys it from the manufacturer. Okay, so the suggestion that that distributors and MLMs are paying wholesale is misleading, because the company, assuming that they don't make their own product in-house, but actually, you know what? Let's assume that they do. Let's assume that inserts.
Most of them don't.
Okay.
90% of multi-level marketing companies selling some type of juice, some type of skincare, they do not manufacture their product.
I agree, and I was just trying to be generous in my analogy here. But okay,
we can keep it real, Marco.
Okay, let's keep it real. Let's keep it real. Okay, so an MLM that's selling, let's insert, fake MLM, hypothetical MLM that's selling lotion. Okay, they've white labeled the product essentially, where they're getting it from some lotion manufacturer in wherever country, and it's
about 2 to 3 major ones
for sure, and they slap their logo on it and they do their own branding for it. Okay, so we agree in this situation that the manufacturer of the lotion, who puts the actual liquid in the bottle before there's a label on the bottle, they're the manufacturer, and they're selling it wholesale to insert, we'll call it Skinway. Insert skin MLM, right? Okay, so now they've purchased it wholesale. So now when the next person buys it, they can't then buy it wholesale, because we've already established that the MLM bought it wholesale from the manufacturer, just like the Coca-Cola and Walmart thing. So now whoever buys it next, the distributor, is actually just the retail customer. And then if they go and choose to resell it, they're not actually, do you know what I mean? It's not actually a retail sale. They were the retail customer, and now they're reselling it. And this is like, this would actually be akin to me walking into a Walmart, buying a bottle of Coca-Cola, and then going into the parking lot and selling it for 50 cents more to some guy in the parking lot. Was I a manufacturer? No. Was I a retailer? No. Did I make a retail sale? No. I just resold something. It's like a garage sale level of glamour to that. It's like me reselling something, on Facebook Marketplace. So MLM distributors, that's what they're doing. Once they've bought the product, their monthly auto ship or whatever, that was the retail sale. They've bought it from the company. Cha-ching, the company has made their money. Transaction complete. Now you're stuck with the product. You think the company cares whether the product sits in your garage or whether you resell it? They don't even know. How would they even know? So when the people the distributors actually end up with the product because they were mandated or de facto mandated or incentivized to buy it each month, if they go and resell it, that doesn't even make them a distributor, in my opinion. Technically, if I take a bottle of Coca-Cola that I bought at the store, if I throw it on the ground, technically I distributed it. So it's all language games. You know what I mean? They're not actually retailers. They're not actually distributors, even when it comes to the word distributor. They're just reselling stuff. They're customers who bought a bunch of shit, and forgive my language, and they're just reselling it. Or they're eating it. Or they're eating it, or
let me give redress. Let me
please,
give redress.
Please.
You and I don't disagree.
Okay.
Let me give broader context. Okay. You said if you went into Walmart.
Yep.
I don't know your fascination with Walmart.
I'm just keeping it simple. Everybody knows Walmart.
Yeah, and a lot of people hate Walmart, so
sure.
Hopefully they're not badgering us in the comments.
Okay.
But you can go to Walmart, buy a box of MLMs, M&Ms.
I hope not. I hope not.
Hope not, right? And you can go out and go mark that up.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you weren't the manufacturer of the M&Ms. You were certainly not the retailer, but you can go to Walmart, buy that bag of M&Ms for, let's say, $10 US. You can take that same bag of M&Ms, go to your school, which Brenda Castillo used to do this is middle school. And Brenda used to make a killing selling to us private school kids every single week things she got from Walmart. Why? Convenience. So you can call it semantics, which people argue. You can call it, language, whatever you want to call it. The point that I was making as it relates to companies evolving. Initially, internal consumption was a big issue in multi-level marketing, and distinction between a pyramid scheme and a multi-level marketing company was the fact that the multi-level marketing company was supposed to be distributing the product to end users. That's what made you legal. Because of internal consumption, and this started happening in the late 90s. This is where the term front loading started to come into place, because companies saw, hey, we don't even have to manufacture. We can white label the product, get a bunch of people excited, hyped up to buy the product. As long as it's going to them, that's what we as a company are tracking, not what they're doing with the product from that point beyond. What I'm now saying to you is, over the last decade, not all companies, but many companies have cleaned up that nonsense to have external users. And I would venture to say this. I was in a meeting about 3 years ago with about 150 different CEOs of network marketing companies, as well as C-suite executives. We were at a summit, so no distributors were allowed or involved. And we were talking about where the profession is going. And the tale of the two tapes over the next 2 to 5 years, as it relates to the gig economy, as it relates to just the economy in general, where we're going as a society, you're going to have two types of companies in multi-level marketing. Companies that will be out of business because they did not evolve. I can hear you. Yeah. And so you're going to have companies that are out of business because they did not evolve their business models. And then you're going to have companies that dominate because they did. You have to have external users. So first of all, your products have to be of real value. Your products or services have to be real value. And I've heard your critique on insurance companies, but you do agree there is real value in selling policies. The policies from the actual insurance carriers have real value to them, whether they're living benefits or death benefits.
Okay.
So we're not arguing that. My point is, your product, whatever you're selling, it has to be of real value. That's number one. You can't get away with the pump and dump hype nonsense that people got away with 10, 15, 20 years ago. That's number one. Number two, what we discovered is your price point has to be competitive in the market space. You don't have to be the cheapest or the least expensive, but you cannot be, super expensive in terms of the product or the service you're marketing. Now, does that mean that you can't be a little bit more expensive? Yeah, you can be more expensive. What's the difference between Michael Kors and Louis Vuitton? Not much. They have the same manufacturing plants. It's the branding, the label, the story behind it. So that's not the argument, but you do have to have the right price point. And then thirdly, you have to have external users, which means your compensation plan has to be written or even rewritten to reward people for building a customer base, a real retail customer base outside of your sales force.
Got it. Well, there's an easy way around that too, which I've seen a lot of MLMs do, where they say that you don't count as a distributor or you're not an active distributor unless you've recruited, let's say, example, 3 people. So that means that anybody who's only recruited 2 people, they've just counted them internally as a customer. How would any governing body, FTC, SEC, how would any of them know? They would have to launch a full-scale investigation to figure something like that out. But I know from my own experience that is what they're doing. That people have reached out to me personally telling me that, yeah, they were pursuing the opportunity, but because they didn't have three people, they only had two people. They didn't yet technically count as a distributor, so the company just counted them as a customer. This is deceptive as well. This is another way to fake saying that they have more customers. I mean, I Am Academy did this. The company that I just released a new expose on last month, Unicity, they did this as well, saying that, oh yeah, the majority of our money comes from customers. Well, of course, if the way you classify a customer is just somebody who didn't yet reach the first rank, of course, most people don't ever recruit enough to make anything. So yeah, most of the people who are buying would be considered just customers. But again, it's a language game. It's a double speak, deception, language manipulation game that is going on to justify what is, in my opinion, again, an illegal pyramid scheme. You can respond to that if you want, but I'm happy to move on to the next point about recruit. You mentioned sell, recruit, train. I think I'm satisfied with how I described selling and why I think it's nonsense. I'm happy to move on to recruiting, but go ahead and if you want to say anything about the classification of active distributor first, if you want to say anything about that.
Real quick, I think there should be clarity as you classify a distributor to a customer. There should be clarity. Just because a person signs up and buys a kit, a distributor kit, they say, Marco says, hey, I want to join, and he signs up, and he has a change of heart or something happens in his life and he doesn't pursue the business. I don't think Marco should be considered a distributor until he participates in distributor production. I don't think Marco needs to be classified as an affiliate or as, an independent contractor until he does something that actually produces that. So if that qualification is, hey, Marco, like for example, you mentioned iMarkets Live or I Am Master Academy. By the way, I was never involved in the company. I met with the owner and I was like, no, this ain't me. Now, I did have friends involved in the company.
Right.
Many of them became multimillionaires. And I'm still friends with them today.
Do you know David Imonitier?
He and I flew to meet with the owner together. But put that to the side. Let's talk about this.
Well, he also used to be in the company that you're in now, so I know that from that about his background.
He and I have never been in the same company. The company that I'm a part of now, he and I have never been in that company. He has his own company. But you've been in this company for 20 years, and he has interviews he has an interview with Eric Worre on his Network Marketing Pro channel where he name drops the company that you're currently in and says that he used to be in it. So maybe you weren't in it back then, but anyways, yeah, okay. Just the company I'm a part of today, we went through a buyout back starting in February of this year.
Okay.
I've been working with the company I'm with today. Remember, I'm not a distributor. I'm on the corporate executive side now. And I stopped being a distributor after my last build in 2018. Okay. So quick timeline, so we're clear. I've worked with 3 multi-level marketing companies. Drum roll for all of you they jump companies like you've had the same job for the last 20 years. But I've worked with 3 companies since 2009. First company I was with, a company called OrganoGold. I was with that company for almost 7 years.
Right. That's the one David was in.
Yeah, he and I were in that company together. I introduced him to a guy named Holton Bud.
Okay.
Yeah. Prior to that, and only have we been in that company together, but I didn't recruit him and he didn't recruit me. I was there 7 years. I think he was there for 8 years. I left there and I went and worked with another company for about 3 years called Total Life Changes. OrganoGold was the first company that I earned $1 million in commissions in my career. Prior to that, I had never even made 6 figures a year.
Do you know Daryl Drake? He's in TLC. I know Daryl Drake from TLC.
Yeah, Daryl Drake. Of course, I know Daryl Drake. I was in TLC. I worked with that company for 3 years. Amazing people, amazing company. Yeah. They didn't have the infrastructure that we needed to grow internationally, so I resigned from there.
Okay. Daryl Drake didn't want to smoke with me for sure. I tried to get him to debate me back in 2021. He didn't want to. He blocked me. So, but that's okay.
That's okay. Everybody does what they feel like doing.
Yeah. Yep.
And then the third company I was with as a distributor was It Works. So I was with 3 companies since 2009. So you guys do the math. And then I came over to the corporate side of the business starting in 2021. So the company I'm with, my point is the company that I'm a part of today, he's not in part of this company.
Right. No, I wasn't asserting that. Yeah. Also, I also want to give a shout out to somebody who I just happened to glance at the chat to make sure the connection is okay. Mr. Better Than Amazing, DL Woods. Shout out to you in the chat. Formerly in I Am Academy, you guys might remember me and Fidel. If you've been following me since 2021, me and Fidel did a debate with on Instagram Live with DL Woods back in 2021, and he's in the chat saying, I Am Academy, what did he say? Was incredible or something like that. I Am Academy was amazing. He dropped a comment saying that. Very curious to know, Mr. Woods, what your thoughts are on the company dissolving after trying to rebrand and then being sued by the FTC for being a scam. I'm always right. I never lose. I always win. Just wanted to take a little victory. Just wanted to take a victory lap while I have you in the chat here.
Well, me and DL are best of friends.
Oh, good.
He's my son's godfather.
DL, I want you to comment in the chat. Marco, you were right. I was wrong.
First of all, we got to figure out what Marco was right about. But
about the company being a scam. I mean, my videos on I Am Academy are the most viewed publications about that company by any independent journalist or media organization ever. Sure. And I foretold that they would be shut down for, unfortunately, they were only sued for deceptive claims, not for being a pyramid scheme. But that doesn't denote that they were a pyramid scheme. It's just that after the FTC's last court defeat, it sort of made more difficult the prospect of.
Who defeated the FTC? Who defeated the
I'm trying to Neora. That's right. So after the FTC defeat from Neora, it's become a lot more difficult to.
Marco, we keep throwing around the FTC like these are people that work a job. We're not, these are not the brain surgeons of the world. These are people that are trying to put this together and put that together. They do noble work. We're grateful for them and all that. But let's just be
sure. Clear. Also, sorry, I know you're friends, so don't take offense to this, Jarrod. But DL in the chat says, in all caps, I Am Academy brought trading to the middle income America. No one was trading before then. DL, if that's the justification you use for scamming a bunch of black and brown kids out of their money to the tune of $1.2 billion, more power to you. I think you're a scammer. All good.
Wow. Now this is what I wanted to get to, the labeling and your language of scammers. So
Jarrod,
here's how
the company was sued just back in May for being a $1.2 billion scam. The FTC used the word scam. So then by extension, is a person who promoted that thing not a scammer?
No, they're not.
Okay.
And here's why I'll say that.
Okay.
Here's why I'll say that. They said, they being the FTC, have sued them not because they were a multi-level marketing company.
That's right.
It was based on deceptive marketing.
Right. That's scamming. That's scamming. Deceptive marketing is scamming.
No.
Okay.
Remember, that's not our argument.
Okay.
Our argument is two different arguments. We're talking about multi-level marketing as a business model.
Right.
That's our discussion.
Okay. Well, whether the MLM was a scam or they were scamming by making deceptive claims, would we agree that forget the MLM?
You and I agree on this. You and I agree on deceptive claims
is scamming.
By iMarkets Lab
is scamming.
I Am Mastery Academy and any other company is a scam.
Thank you. That's I'm happy. I'll take that. I'll take that. So again, is a company that's shut down for scamming to such a rampant degree that the FTC says, hey, we need to actually shut you down and sue you. Is that not, would it not then be fair to say that one of the most prominent public promoters of that scam was a scammer?
No.
Forget if we're looking at it as a pyramid scheme. But the company we just established, the company was making deceptive claims. That's why they were sued, right?
Not the company. Not
okay, even better. Distributors in the company who people like DL, who is a distributor. He was not one of the executives. So that worked. That works better for me, actually. So is it not fair to say that a company sued because its distributors so rampantly made deceptive claims that one of those top public-facing, notable public, social media figures who was promoting the company and is still in my chat defending it in 2025 was by extension a scammer?
Here's what I would say to you. the FTC named specific people in the lawsuit. DL Woods is not named in that lawsuit, is he?
There were thousands of people in that company. You think the FTC is going to name every single person? Of course not. But they named his friends. They named friends who he was rubbing elbows with and on stage with: Jason Brown, Alex Morton, Matt Rosa, Matty Thayer. I mean, please, let's not act like birds of a feather don't flock together magically because he's your friend. Let's be fair. Let's be reasonable.
First of all, we're not acting as if anything. I'm not acting. 1, 2. I'm not defending. I am Mastery Academy. I was never involved.
Right.
3. I'm not defending anybody that does any type of deceptive marketing. But to your point, the people that are involved in multi-level marketing are not scammers.
Okay, fine. What about the people involved in making deceptive claims? If I went back through, if I pulled out my old hard drive from 2021, which I have sitting over there right now, and I plugged it in, and I navigated to the folder called I Am Academy, or I Am Academy 2, or I Am Academy 3, and I went through the folder that has all the screenshots and screen recordings of deceptive claims, and I showed you my library of claims made by your friend DL, would it not then be safe to say that that company that he was promoting, which was sued for being a scam, or rather for making deceptive claims such that it was labeled a scam by the FTC, would it not then be fair, after I've substantiated it, to say that he was a scammer?
No, it's not fair to make that.
All right, fair enough.
Unless he is had his day in court, unless he's been convicted or charged and then convicted, you cannot level that type of claim. Why? Because now you're getting into slander. You cannot just slander somebody.
Well, everybody has their own definition of what scammer means. Scammer is not good luck.
We're not talking about,
you know what, DL, you know what, DL, your friend is going to bat for you here. I respect it. DL, sue me and let's go to court and I'll present what I have and you present what you have, and we'll let the court decide, because I would love to have your name also inked on some document that labels you a scammer too, because you and I both know, you, me, and God know the truth, as I like to say, that you were an instrumental part of that company, whether the FTC decided to name you in the suit or not. But anyways, this is taking away from me and Jarrod's time. And Jarrod, I don't want to put you in the middle of me and DL, because I know he's your friend. So I'll respectfully move on from this. But I'd like to move on to the word recruit. Sell, recruit, train.
Sell, recruit, train. Let's do it.
This one's going to be very...
I got another 30 to 45 minutes.
Perfect. Yeah,
UFC
perfect.
is about to kick off.
Gotcha. This one's going to be really short and really easy for me. Recruit. Mm-hmm. The reason I think recruit is nonsense is because if MLM companies were truly about selling products, why on earth would someone go and recruit their own competitor?
Why are they your competitor when you recruit them?
If I'm selling shampoo...
Yep.
Why would I then go recruit other people who are going to sell shampoo with complete negligence for whether there's actually an appropriate level of market demand for that? I would only open another franchise or recruit more salespeople if there was such an overwhelming demand that I needed more help doing it. But these people who sign up for MLM companies to sell lotions, potions, whatever, insurance, what is the likelihood that any of those people are going to be so successful immediately that everyone that they know is flocking to them to buy these products, such that they need to recruit more people? It's completely antithetical and anathema to real sales ideology and sales business. You would want to make the lion's share of the sales for yourself if you're truly making a commission off of selling products, right? So recruiting more people who are then going to cannibalize the market. I made the analogy recently in my Unicity video. Why would you, if you were a realtor, the last thing you would want is an ever-expanding downline of other realtors who are going to steal market share and sell houses that you could have sold?
Okay, so this is a great question, and it lends to context again.
Okay.
Why? So let's start with your framing of, I'm recruiting my competitor. If my objective is to sell 100 bottles of 100 cups of coffee,
yep.
If that's my objective, should I go sell the 100 cups of coffee myself, or would it be better if I recruit 10 people,
right,
and each one of those 10 go sell 10 cups of coffee?
Great. I really appreciate that you said that, actually, because it brings up a great point, and this is actually the sort of the punchline here. Absolutely. If the incentive structure is such that you would actually make more money, more commission by selling them yourself, you would want to sell them yourself. But if the compensation plan is set up to reward you actually more for recruiting those people, then you would want to recruit those people. And that point actually lends itself again to why I think every MLM is just a pyramid scheme in disguise, because there's, again, pay to play, recruiting mandate, emphasis on recruitment, and the extreme money transfer from the bottom 99% to the top less than 1%, and of course the endless chain. So great point. If you're more incentivized, if you're going to make more money by recruiting 10 people to sell, which we've already established means to buy 10 cups of coffee each, rather than me selling or buying 100 cups of coffee by myself.
This is the snooty, snide commentary that I absolutely...
It's not. I backed it up before I explained it. You go ahead.
Hold on. It is the snooty, snide comments and remarks that I don't ever care to participate in.
Okay, tell me what was snide about it. I was being 100% genuine. It's true.
You're being genuinely snide.
No. We established that language games are used to reclassify purchases as sales. That's why
we've not established that.
I established it.
I challenged. I gave you redress several times.
That's fine. Again, the people can. That's the beauty of the internet. The people can rewatch and see what made sense.
Is not for you, because remember, I established in the very beginning, Mark.
That's fine.
I'm not here to change your mind. But
likewise.
Here's what I would say to you. The purpose of recruiting is for leverage. The purpose of recruiting is for leverage.
I hear you.
One more time for the smoke people.
Yeah, tell them again.
The purpose of recruiting is for leverage. If my objective is to sell 100 units of something, I can do that myself, or I can build a sales team.
Sure.
If the sales team goes and sells those units to end users and I get paid a small percentage on all of the sales of that team, that for me is leverage versus me going to sell 100 units myself. So it's not that I get paid more because I have 10 people on my sales team. No, it's that I'm more efficient, I'm more effective, and I've employed a success principle of leverage to do it.
Sure.
Now, can a person go sell 100 units? Absolutely. There are companies like Legal Shield where people don't recruit at all. You keep bringing up insurance companies. There are people that literally do not go and recruit other agents that earn 6 figures a year just by the policies that they're writing. So there's no mandate that says you must recruit. There is an educational process by which people say, hey, listen, you can recruit, you can build a team. I tell people all the time,
right?
Recruiting and building a team is something that is designed for people that know how to lead a team. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something.
Right.
So to your point of, there's an endless chain. There's an endless chain. Christianity and Islam have been around for thousands of years. Are they saturated? Is there not an endless chain?
The one thing I've heard that analogy before, and the one thing that it leaves out is the fact that there's not a financial incentive structure to recruiting.
Have you seen these churches and mosques? What do you mean there's not a financial incentive? Are you kidding me?
There's not a financial incentive, because if I join Christianity, or if I convert to Christianity, I'm not now a distributor for Christianity who gets paid a commission for every person that buys a Bible from me.
You're bringing that money right on into the storehouse. Yes, you are.
I'm not making money. Sure, the church may make money, but I'm not.
Yes.
I'm not personally incentivized to recruit more people into Christianity because I'm going to make a commission off of a Bible that they purchase. That's why it's a false equivalence. The example you've given.
We're not talking about the monetary production.
I am. That's literally the most important element of it, though.
That's not the parallel I'm drawing, Mark.
Okay, so go ahead, explain.
The parallel I'm drawing, huh?
No, I said just go ahead and explain what you mean.
The parallel I'm drawing is the endless chain. I'm not talking about the monetary gain. We're talking about two different things.
Yes, and endless chain. You could say a bunch of things are an endless chain. I've heard the military recruits, colleges recruit. Of course, a college, you could say it's an endless recruiting chain, because in 2025, the graduating class will leave and a new class will come in, and that's going to repeat forever. However, it's not an endless chain as it pertains to pyramid schemes. We're talking about an endless recruiting chain where people are financially incentivized and people, again, pay to play, endless chain, emphasis on recruitment, extreme money transfer. So I think you actually, I would, even though I don't know you well, I would actually infer that you are intelligent enough to not get confused by this. You actually do know that there is a difference between what I'm saying with endless chain as it pertains to MLM and an endless chain about Christianity. I think you know in your heart that that's a bad faith, nonsensical comparison. I think you know that.
It's not a bad faith. It's not a bad faith, nonsensical comparison, because every organization, every company is always looking for new business. They're always looking for new customers.
Okay.
Why would a multi-level marketing company be any different?
Well, I think I've explained that pretty thoroughly, and I don't want to repeat myself and waste your time. So again, people. That's the beauty of the internet. People can watch this and see if what I said makes sense, or if what you said makes sense, and let us know. I'm totally content with the way that I've presented myself and described my position thus far. Financial incentive. That's the difference. Financial incentive. Short answer.
You're involved in a business. You're financially incentivized to make sales. So I told you the 3 points. You're selling the product or service. You don't have a problem with that. Or yeah, you do. You said it's not a sale because the people that are buying are the distributors. And I'm telling you, as somebody that's been doing this as a profession for 20 years, I'm telling you, people sell the product, people sell the service. I can give you countless examples of different companies that sell the product or service.
Well, you know what?
I talked about recruiting.
And I'm not comparing you to Bernie Madoff here. I'm just talking about the model itself. You know, Bernie Madoff was in his profession for over 30 years, and it turned out that the thing he was doing wasn't legitimate either. Not to compare you to Bernie Madoff, but just to make the point that just because something's been around a long time doesn't legitimize it in my eyes.
I've heard you bring up the Bernie Madoff thing, and I think everybody is aware that Bernie Madoff was a crook.
Yep.
I think everybody is aware that Bernie Madoff ran the largest Ponzi scheme in the history of America.
Yep.
I think we're all clear on that.
Yep.
And we also realized that he doctored and fabricated documents for years where he was taking clients' money and presenting them documents showing that he was growing their money, and he was not.
Absolutely.
So much so that his kids have committed suicide.
Yep.
So much so that he bankrupted not only his family, his estate, but bankrupted a lot of people that were hurt as a result of his Ponzi scheme.
Yep.
I'm not talking about the legitimacy because of the length of time. I'm talking about the delegitimacy because of the strength of time, meaning what he did has no bearing and no methodology, no parallel to what a multi-level marketing company does.
Well, I have to respectfully disagree with you there, because Bernie Madoff's deception and running his Ponzi scheme reminds me an awful lot of the doctoring of documents that MLM companies do, even with regards to things as simple as what I described before, relabeling what it means to be a distributor, a retailer, wholesale, sale, purchase, compensation plan, which is really actually a money losing plan, etc., to the tune of way more dollars than Bernie Madoff ever scammed people out of. The biggest Ponzi scheme. I think one day it will become common knowledge, if it hasn't already, even though it hasn't already become the official narrative, that actually multi-level marketing was the biggest Ponzi scheme in history, not Bernie Madoff, not even by a close call. And you talk about the impact left by Bernie Madoff and the suicides and depression and whatever else. It reminds me of the lost friendships like I had, of the strained relationships like I've heard from so many people, like the suicides, like the divorces, like the foreclosures, like the unrepayable debts, the bankruptcies in multi-level marketing. So I actually think we are right there with each other on that comparison. I actually think your blurb there about Bernie Madoff and his impact actually is an aid to my analogy.
I think you're absolutely wrong, and I respect.
No, I respect that. I respect your disagreement. And actually, you know what? That segues perfectly into I put a link in the chat for people to have an opportunity to ask a question to you, if that's all right. And I only got one, but it's from Andrew. Andrew asks, Jarrod, all else aside, how do you justify a business where 99% of participants lose money? Do you believe 99% of people are the problem, or is it the MLM model?
I think that's a great question. I also think that the term or the numerical value of 99%, I don't even know where y'all have gotten that from. I would like to hear, number one, where do you get the number 99%?
Well, actually, I have a video on my channel. It's a short video from 2021 called Why Making Money in an MLM is Impossible, where I actually do the math on a whiteboard to make it as simple as possible to see why it is inescapable in a endless chain multi-level marketing recruiting model that 99% of people, or at least the vast majority of people, will lose money. The 99% number actually comes from there's been various studies about MLM. One that I like to cite often is the 2011 John Taylor study. Robert Fitzpatrick also worked on this, where John Taylor and Robert Fitzpatrick looked at the compensation plans and the income disclosures of hundreds of MLM companies. All of them are listed on that document. And they determined that based on the incentive structure, the compensation plan, how many people actually lost money, the math of how much they have to spend each month to be in it, auto ship, fees, etc., minus the amount that people actually made on the income disclosure, based on by the way, based on the company's own reporting, based on the company's own disclosures, that most people lost money. So, and again, all we have to go off of is the very opaque reporting of the MLM companies themselves. So I actually think the numbers are actually far worse than that. I think it's virtually 100% of people in MLM lose money, and that the amount of people who made money are such a ridiculously small amount who have been pursuing it for so long. Like, I mean, you said you've been in it 20 years. That they're negligible. It's like when a hand sanitizer commercial says 99.9% of bacteria is killed by our hand sanitizer. I mean, they're basically saying 100% without actually saying 100%.
What's the guy's name that asked the question? Was it Andrew?
Andrew, yeah.
Andrew, the 99% is a made-up number. Marco has deductively reasoned this from some study of 2011 and Fitzgerald and whoever the guy is, looking at income disclosure statements that never list out how much auto ship was, never list out how much people paid for anything, or if they even did pay for an auto ship. It takes the total numbers, and a lot of these income disclosures need to be redone, reformulated, and recalculated, in my opinion, because all it does is takes the total number of people at a certain rank or a certain level and give you the low income, the medium income, and the high income at that level. So let me give you the reality of how multi-level marketing compensation plans work. You get paid on production and performance. And unfortunately, we cannot force, guarantee, or even convince people to go out and produce a certain amount of sales to create a certain amount of income.
So do you think, you don't think 99% of people lose money?
Stay with me. Not only do I not think it, I know that the majority of people don't lose money. The majority of people, in my opinion, from my experience of doing this for 21 years, the majority of people choose to quit.
Right. So it's their fault, right?
I don't want to castigate fault. This is not a shadowing of blame. I'm just telling you the reality. We don't say, well, why did all these people not graduate college that started year one? We don't say that. We don't say why all these people didn't, get the physique that they wanted when they joined the gym. We don't say the gym is a scam.
I've heard that one a million. I've heard that one a million times too.
Because it's the truth. We don't say, well, why are these people getting married when 50% of marriages end in divorce in the first 2 to 5
I've heard that one too.
Of course you have.
Because you know why? Because Jarrod, can I just say, Jarrod, the reason why those are nonsensical false equivalences is
stay with me. No.
Okay, go ahead.
I know you've got
Go ahead.
I know you got a canned answer for it. I know you got a snarty.
It's basic common sense answer.
No. It's not a common sense answer.
Okay, I'll write it down. Marriage and the gym. I've heard them a million times before, but just so I don't forget.
You're going to hear marriage. You're going to hear gym. You're going to hear college.
Oh, yeah, that's another one. Oh, yeah. Ooh, good one.
Yeah, write that college one down.
Yep.
Let me give you another one. You ready? Something you've never heard before. People that actually join a religious organization.
Yes, religion. Yes. Okay, good.
Matter of fact, write this fifth one down.
Yes, give me it.
Anything that requires,
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
Anything that requires personal performance
Yes.
and accountability
Mm-hmm.
will have a high quitting rate.
Yes. Yes, personal performance. Okay, go on.
Oh, I'm finished.
Oh,
I'll rest my case, Your Honor.
okay, great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Religion, marriage, gym, college, anything that requires personal performance. The one thing to note that makes all of those a nonsensical false equivalence when it comes to talking about multi-level marketing is that in none of those things is your success dependent on recruiting a mathematically impossible endless chain of new people below you. Marriages, 50% of marriages don't fail because the couple, the husband and wife, failed to recruit two more couples who recruited two more couples.
Great pivot. That's not what we're talking about. We said personal performance, and we talked about accountability.
And also in none of those things, and also Jarrod, also in none of those things, in the gym. Let me answer.
What's your performance in marriage?
In the gym. Let me answer.
No.
Let me answer you. Okay, I won't mention MLM. I promise. I won't mention MLM. I pinky promise. Okay.
Marco, this is not for you. This ain't for you. This is for your audience. What is the requirement for marriage? What is the requirement for you to graduate with a 4-year degree? What is the requirement for you to lose weight finally and get a six-pack? What is the requirement?
Can I answer? Can I say something? Can I give my opinion? Please?
Marco,
Please?
No. We know you are an opinionaire, so just be seated. Let's hear the audience. Type in your comments.
Okay.
What is the requirement? We're not talking about recruiting. Hold on. We're not talking about them recruiting. We're not talking about an endless chain. That's not what we're talking about.
Okay. I have a different thing. I have a different bar. I got a different bar. I got a new bar. I got a new bar. Jarrod, I got a new bar. Ready? In none of those things is the failure rate, even if it is dependent on personal performance. Let's say that it's based on personal performance. All those things, the gym, religion, marriage, college. In none of those things is the failure rate even close to 99%.
You don't know what the failure rate is. That's some stuff.
We can Google it. We can Google what percentage of people drop out of college, what percentage of marriages fail, what percentage of people who get a gym membership never actually end up going. We can Google that.
You made up 99%.
I didn't make it up. I have a whole video. On my channel where I demonstrate with math on a whiteboard, black and white, where you can see it's demonstrated. Okay. Here, I'll pull it up. Okay, on the FTC's webpage that we talked about before, multi-level marketing and pyramid schemes, the FTC says that most people who join...
There are a bunch of people behind a computer.
Okay, well, I'm just trying to bolster my point here. You're saying that it's made up. Okay, what data does the FTC have? What do they know? The FTC says that most people who join... Hold on. He's muted, so you can't hear him. Most people who join legitimate MLMs don't make any money. The FTC says that on their website. So even then, the word most is left to your imagination. To me, most would mean more than 50%.
Most could be 30%. Most could be 70%.
Most is not 30%. Most means a majority. Most means over 50%. Most means 51% or more.
Marco,
can we at least agree on that?
Well, Marco, what you said is this. You said 99%. That's why Andrew parroted it.
It is 99%.
It's not 99%.
Guess what? I got a new bar. Jarrod, on Organo's website, the page called Compensation Plan.
You get Snicker bars. Sometimes you need meat and potatoes. Snicker bars.
Compensation Plan. Organo website, OrganoGold.com. An actual income will depend on the amount of time and effort an individual devotes to their business. A typical participant in the Organo compensation plan earns between $0 and $599 per year.
Okay. So what? That is a scam because a typical person makes $0 to $599 a year. How much?
I didn't say that. I actually have a question. I have a question. That's
what are they doing? How much are they selling?
Okay. What's the monthly cost to be an active distributor in Organo? Tell me that.
I don't know. I haven't been in Organo in almost a decade. But here's the point. How do we know they paid that monthly cost? How do we know they paid it?
If they didn't pay it, they wouldn't have lost anything. And they also wouldn't have made anything. And they wouldn't wouldn't have made anything. So they wouldn't be factored into that calculation. So this calculation, so we can discern that this calculation only factors in people who made anything.
No, that's not what it is. Read the income disclosure statement.
Okay.
They factor in people that signed up into the business.
How do you know? You haven't been in it in over 10 years. Now you know. When I ask you a pointed, when I ask you a pointed question, you don't know. You haven't been in it for 10 years. But then when I back up my appointment, you say, "Oh, pull it up."
I don't know what the average cost is.
I'm showing. It says it on their website. This is their website, OrganoGold.com. You think I'm lying? You think I'm making this up? Here, click to see income disclosure statement.
You asked me a pointed question of how much the average cost is monthly. I said I haven't worked with the company in over a decade. I don't know if they've changed it. They've changed owners. There's different owners in the company. I don't know what they've done.
Okay, here we go. Yeah. 82% of people made nothing. That's 82.5% of people made nothing. That's on their income disclosure. So already we're at 82. So can we at least agree that in this one company, and I'm not even going to try to decode or dissect the next ranks to show that it's actually more than 82, but would we agree that 82% of people lost money? Would that be would that be far-fetched to you? Would that sound crazy to you?
You just said 82% of people lost money.
Yes.
How do you lose money?
Because it costs you money to be involved. Because it costs you money to be involved. And if you don't make anything, that means you end up in the net negative. That's called losing money. Math.
Okay, let me ask you a question. How much did it cost them to get involved?
I'm asking you that. You were the one who was in it. So I'm asking you, ballpark, how much does it cost each month to join and to be involved in it?
When I was with the company 15 years ago, you could get involved as a distributor.
Yep.
Drum roll. $49.
Okay, great. So $50. Let's call it $50. Let's assume it's still the same today. Let's assume it's still the same. And then how much did you have to pay each month?
It depends.
$50? Because even if it was
zero. It could have been $0. You didn't have to pay anything.
Right, but then you also wouldn't qualify, right? You also wouldn't earn anything then, right?
No, you qualify. You qualify because you are now a distributor. You pay $49. Now you're listed in the data.
So there's no PV?
Marco, you go join OrganoGold today.
Sure.
As a distributor, they have to account for you as the distributor.
Okay, so is there PV or no? Is there PV, yes or no?
Here, to your point of, companies said you have to recruit 2 or 3 to now become an active distributor. Because what the numbers were showing is, hey, you got 82% of people not making money. Well, hold on. All they did was buy a kit. They didn't sell any product. They didn't move any volume.
Okay. I'm not gonna debate that with you. I'm happy we at least found one example where a company themselves admits that 82% of people lost money because you said the 99 was made up. I'm happy. Okay.
Read what they said. Read what the income disclosure statement said again. You said lost money.
Okay. So it shows me and I'll put it up here later. It shows me leadership ranks and it shows me the number of ranks, and then it shows me the corresponding annualized average, which is also a deception, that those people earned each year. So it says the first one is 82.5% of people. Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 layers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, great. So it says 82.5% of people fall into the average range of earning between $0 and $599 per year. You said it cost you 15 years ago $50 to join. So if we even give the most generous assumption that group of people made $599, let's take 50 off of that for the cost to join. We're now down to $550 for the whole year. There's 12 months in a year. If somebody stayed in it for 12 months and they even spent $50 a month, they would be in the negative. And you and I both know that spending $50 a month in an MLM is not going to get you the PV and the training and the blah, 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 blah. We both know that we're spending more than that on gas, the opportunity cost of our time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
and we both know, which I've stated again, and I'll say it one more time because this is very important. That number that you just read off does not factor in the people that just joined and did nothing beyond joining.
And you know what else? It also doesn't factor in it does factor in the people at the top of the compensation plan who made so much money that it actually boosts the average up. And I explained this with a very simple analogy. I said, if you looked at the average earnings between me and Bill Gates, it would appear that we both made a lot of money. Realistically, I could have earned $0. Whatever I made this year, it's basically just Bill Gates divided by 2 is how you would calculate the average between me and Bill Gates. So even that is a deception. To report an annualized average is a accounting trick on its face.
Yeah, and I think what they do, and not just them, I think other companies have done this too, is they take people at that rank, whether let's say it's a diamond rank. let's say it's 10 people at that rank, they take all of their incomes and divide it by 10 and come up with low, middle, and high. So again, that the whole reporting will lend to your point of, oh, everybody's losing money, 80, 90, 100% of, no, it's just saying, hey, of all the people that joined, here's what majority of people did absolutely nothing. 82% of people did absolutely nothing beyond join.
Right. Well, so, okay. So to your own point, if you did nothing and you just paid for the starter kit or whatever, you lost $50.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm happy with that. The last point that I wanted to talk about.
Say that again so people can hear exactly what you mean.
Yep.
If you joined for $50 and did nothing, remember, you're supposed to do what? Sell, recruit, train. But you didn't do any of these three. Are you supposed to make any? No, you're not.
Okay.
But let's go ahead.
Okay, train. Train is nonsense because in all of the opportunity...
Sales is nonsense. Recruiting is nonsense.
Yep.
Training is nonsense.
Yep.
So I'm a nonsensical professional. The things that I've invested the last 21 years of my life doing is all nonsense. Do you hear how offensive that is? That's me saying, you know, what you do, Marco, all the editing you do, all of the interviews you've done, all of the research that goes into what you do to create content. It's all nonsense. The screens that you bought, the managing that you put together, the camera, the microphone, this is all nonsense. Anybody, why don't we take everybody that has a YouTube page? Let's categorize everybody that has a YouTube page. And if all of them don't have 112,000 subscribers, then it's a scam.
Hey.
Well, Jarrod, is not a scam because we're not telling
They can't all be me. They can't all be me. What can I say? I'm one of a kind. I'm the 1%.
Accountability. This is the thing with y'all.
Sorry that I'm the best.
Hold on. The thing with your argument is that it lacks logic.
Okay, hey, Jarrod.
Hold on. Let me finish this. And you can take it away. I got 30 minutes because
No, go ahead.
But here's the thing. I just want us, when I say us, I'm speaking to you, but I'm really speaking through you to everybody that's watching this. I just want us to use logic and deductive reasoning. Suspend your emotions for a minute. Oh, 82% of people don't make money. Okay, if they don't do anything, are they supposed to make money? Like, just really, it's rhetorical. If you get involved in a company, you pay $50, $500, $5,000, whatever. You sign up in an insurance company, PHP, FFA, what's the other ones? What's the one you can't mention? You always say you can't mention one of them.
Oh, you're probably World Financial Group.
You can't mention them.
I can mention them. No, I can mention anything. Go ahead. You're good. Go on.
Okay. But think about it. In insurance specifically, I know how tough that is in terms of different from a business because you do have to go get licensed. You got to study for a test and you got to pass the test. But can you imagine somebody joining one of those companies, not ever studying for the test, not ever taking the test, not ever passing the test, and getting mad that didn't sell a policy? Well, baby, you can't sell a policy. You're not licensed. But you would come in and say, not you.
Go ahead. I'm not offended. Go ahead.
It's a scam because, look at all these people. Look at all these people that they've signed up and they all aren't making money. Well, personal production and accountability, whenever those two things are factored in, the majority of people will quit.
Well, what I try to explain to people is that regardless of how much of a go-getter you are and however hard you work, it's not like fitness where if you consistently train right and eat right and sleep right and push yourself, you will see progress as a matter of fact. Yes. Okay, it's not true. That doesn't apply to MLM because MLM success is based on a mathematically impossible endless chain. And I'm sure you've heard the example. Let me explain. Don't interrupt me if you want me to explain, right? That if you recruit...
No. I want you to explain that point mathematically impossible.
I'm trying.
Okay.
If I say, here's my comp plan, recruit 5 people, that's the first rank. Those 5 people recruit 5 people, that's the second rank, and so on. Did you know you can only repeat that process 13 times before you exceed the entire population of the earth? Right.
Oh my God.
That's why it's a mathematically impossible endless chain.
Not nonsensical. That statement is not nonsensical. You know what that statement is? It's illogical.
Explain. To what you were saying before, I know you said how offensive it is to you, but with all due respect, I don't concern myself with what's offensive. Before everybody realized what Ben Shapiro is all about, when I was a teenager, I've seen these memes where it's like, when I was a teenager, I admired Ben Shapiro because he said facts don't care about your feelings, and now he's just like, yeah. So facts don't care about your feelings, and I've always said you're entitled to your opinion if you can back it up. I never say, oh yeah, I just feel that way. But so with all due respect, I don't really concern myself, or I don't base my opinion on whether or not you or anybody is going to be offended. I made the analogy at the beginning of this conversation between the disguises used by MLM and the disguise used by Scientology. I'm certain that there are people. I was just watching a documentary yesterday about a Scientology top member who defected. I'm sure it would be offensive to him when he was still in the Sea organization if you had said that the thing he was in was a cult and it was actually an abusive, coercive control system, and that he wasn't actually saving the world for the next billion years and blah, blah, blah. I'm sure he would have said that was deeply offensive too, because he dedicated 20 years of his life to it, with all due respect.
Yeah, Danny, I didn't quit my other MLMs. I resigned. I was at the top, but that's not the point.
Go on.
So to this point here, where you were asking about personal responsibility and endless chain mathematically.
Yeah.
You're talking about a compensation plan in a perfect world. Let me share something with you. I've never met a top earner, somebody making 6 or 7 figures, that only recruited 5, and those 5 went and recruited 5, and those 5 recruited 5, and those 5 recruited 5. No, it don't work that way, because you're not getting paid, drum roll, you're not getting paid on the recruits. You're getting paid on production that recruits generate.
There's a term. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't realize you weren't finished. Sorry.
So here's what I want everybody to understand. You're not trying to recruit the world. Your objective is to build a sales team that recruits or enrolls customers or end users. You can recruit 10. You can recruit 100. It doesn't matter. You want to recruit the right people that generates a sales organization that creates customer volume. That's network marketing. It's not about an endless chain of recruiting just to be recruiting, because you can recruit, in majority of companies, you can recruit 100 agents or 100 affiliates or 100 distributors. But if there's no volume, external volume being generated, you don't make commissions. You use insurance all the time in terms of your talking point, PHP, whichever ones, right? Go show me in their comp plan, if policies aren't written, who gets paid.
Okay. The thing you're leaving out, again, is that they have that, and they have also the recruiting, financially incentivized recruiting aspect to it as well. Whereas other insurance companies that aren't MLM or network marketing don't have that, because they're actually based on sales. In the world of money laundering, there's a term called layering, and we're familiar with movies that show, for example, there'll be a cop movie where they go into a laundromat or, a Chinese restaurant, and it's a real laundromat, it's a real Chinese restaurant, but in the basement they have like a drug lab. Okay? This is a very simple way of understanding layering. You have a buffer in between the thing that the money that you're bringing in and the thing that's actually bringing in the money. You get my point. We're saying, oh yeah, this Chinese restaurant actually did.
That's how Rudy Giuliani nabbed the mob bosses. It's called the RICO Act. Yes.
For sure. Okay, so you're there with me, right? Like a Chinese, they might say, oh, this Chinese restaurant made $20,000 this week, but actually they only made $10,000, and then they forged a bunch of, General Tao chicken for $10,000 more, but the money actually came from drugs. Right. We get how that works. Okay. And so the way that I understand multi-level marketing companies to do this money laundering via layering is through the product. You're not getting paid to recruit, but when you recruit, you get paid. They've just relabeled it. Oh, we're not recruiting. People aren't paying to join. They're paying to buy a starter kit as a means of becoming a distributor. And you're not getting paid for them joining. You're getting a commission for them buying the starter kit, and so on and so on. The product is there as simply as it's the Chinese restaurant and the laundromat. You're just layering. It's just part of the disguise. Again, like Scientology says, come on in for a free personality test. Well, that's the cheese. They're trying to get you in. Oh, you have problems with your relationship? We have a course about relationships. Buy our book about relationships. That's the cheese. That's how they're getting people in to the network of control, the indentured servitude, the mind control of Scientology is through products. Yeah, it's a real book. There might even be some good advice in there. Sure, it's a real insurance policy. It might even be a good insurance policy. It might even pay out. That doesn't change the fact that it's simply a disguise for what the real generator of money is.
And it's the recruiting. That's the real generator.
You say who's being snide and snarky now?
No, that's what you're saying, right? That's your point.
And who knows that better than you that's been in it for 20 years?
21. But your point is that people are recruiting, and that's how you make money, not through the sales that the recruits make.
There may be sales, and there may be genuine sales, and there may even be commissions earned from those genuine sales. But again, I ask,
but the real money is coming from the recruiting.
Well, it's a common sense question to ask. You say I'm being illogical. Isn't it a common sense question for me to ask? Well, if these people, I didn't ask the question. If these people are really concerned with selling and they're really making money off of selling, why would there be this incentive structure to recruit in the first place? I already established why recruiting is nonsense, because why would you recruit your own competitor?
What was my response?
Honestly, there was
too
much. There was too much. Honestly, I would have to. It's not because I don't care. I'm trying to say this in a nice way, but there was just so much babble.
Babble of I recruit for leverage. Leverage is called babble.
I had already debunked that by saying that it's not commensurate. The amount of recruiting and leverage is not commensurate with the actual market demand. You completely ignored the analogy that I gave about real estate and how a realtor wouldn't want an ever-expanding downline of realtors who are going to cannibalize the real estate market for them. I mean, you ignore everything I say. You ignore everything I say, and then when you ask me, what did you say? Of course, it's impossible for me to recall.
No. You're making the analogy of realtors recruiting other realtors.
We're past that already. We're good.
Yeah, realtors don't recruit other realtors. The real estate broker recruits the realtors.
Yes, and they're not recruiting an endless chain. Realtors don't get paid from first having to buy a house from the brokerage and then recruiting two realtors who also buy a house and so on. And you don't have to. Go on.
We're not comparing that. What we're talking about is the leverage of the real estate broker to have real estate agents. That's the analogy we're drawing. We're not talking about the endless chain as you continue to go through of mathematically endless chains of people not being able to make money. I'm suggesting that a realtor is not recruiting other realtors because they are in direct competition. But the real estate broker wants as many realtors as he or she can find because that's where the leverage is. He or she gets a percentage on the sales made by those realtors. And guess what? If that realtor decides to buy a house and use that brokerage, guess who gets paid on that house?
Right.
That same real estate broker.
And do we agree that no money moves for a realtor, for the brokerage, for anyone, unless an actual house is sold, right?
Of course we agree.
So it's based on selling houses, actually selling houses to people who want to buy houses. The realtors themselves are not saying, hey, Remax, I want to join this brokerage. And then Remax says, oh, but you also have to buy the thing we're also selling. And we established earlier in the conversation that it would be nonsense for Walmart, or in this case for a real estate brokerage, to demand that their salespeople also buy the thing they're selling. How nonsense would it be if me as a realtor, in order to join a brokerage, I had to buy a house first. And every month I had to keep buying, little sheds or, other things for the house. It would never be a condition of being an actual salesperson, because unless there's some sort of scamming or layering or nonsense going on. That's why I said that the recruiting was nonsense. So again, I don't want you to get distracted or go off. I just really want you to address that, please. Like, why? Yes, you acknowledged, and I appreciate that. People are actually selling houses, but they're selling houses to homeowners, people who want to live, right? To people who want to stay there, own the house. They're not selling the house to a realtor as a condition of them becoming a realtor. In MLM, there's the minimum PV requirement. You have to buy in order to become a distributor. You see, this is what I'm so confused by. You, Jarrod, you get why it's nonsense when I say a realtor having to buy a house is nonsense. We agree that it's nonsense, but you don't think it's nonsense when someone joining an MLM also has to buy the lotion and potion first? Why is that not nonsense? They're both nonsense.
Well, two things. I feel your passion. Okay, trying to compare real estate sales to multi-level marketing sales is a bad faith argument. They're two different, completely different professions.
But that's the argument that everybody in MLM uses. You yourself use the examples of religion, marriage, gym, college, and anything that requires personal performance. Those are all false equivalences.
No, they're not, because here's the content. Personal performance, and also at the caveat of what? Accountability. I'm talking about what is required to succeed in any one of those endeavors.
So, Jarrod, how do you know that the people who lose money in MLM, like the 82% of people in Organo, how do you know that those people are just people who didn't do what was required? How do you know they weren't trying?
Great question. I didn't say I did know. What I did say is that 82% is indicative of people that joined the company, and we don't know what they did beyond join.
Okay, but in your professional opinion, I mean, I would defer to you as the expert here. You've been in it 21 years. I've never been part of a multi-level marketing company. In your estimation, what would lead to, would it be inactivity that would lead to such a high percentage of people not earning a net profit?
No, what I would say is personal production and accountability lead to 82% of people not actually doing it.
Okay.
Most people just don't do it.
Okay.
They get excited. They come to an event. They come to a meeting. They see a webinar, whatever it is. They go online. They hear Marco. They hear anti-MLM.
Okay.
Oh, I shouldn't do it.
Okay, got you. Okay, so I'm trying to be respectful of your time. This is the last thing, and then I'll let you go. And I also have to pee, so I'll be happy to get out of here too. The last thing that I said sell, recruit, train, and I said I think those are all nonsense. I said I think sell is nonsense because sell in MLM actually means to buy. I said I think recruit is nonsense because it's a mathematically impossible chain that disregards actual market supply and demand principles of economics. And I think train is nonsense because in all of the MLM or network marketing or digital franchise or what have you, any euphemism you want to apply in in any of those meetings that I've attended, either in person, or anonymously, or virtually through Zoom, in any of the recordings that I've seen of their Zoom meetings, their trainings, in all of the training materials that I've been able to get my hands on through former distributors sending me, like I have people who've sent me physical mail of, their training documents that their uplines gave them in whatever MLM. In all of them, I see nothing more than mindless motivational babble and nonsense and toxic positivity stuff that encourages things like disconnecting from family and friends if they don't see your vision. It sort of others people the same way Scientology does as suppressive persons. In MLM, they'll call them haters. They'll call them brokies. They'll call them dream stealers. If someone says it's a scam, they'll say still cooking at McDonald's, still confused about money, still chilling at mom's. These are the most common. And I mean, you used the still confused about money one earlier. I just think it's such sly and oily snake oil salesman tactics, because if I say something is a scam and then I give my opinion about why it's a scam and the person just gives me some flashy sleight of hand silver-tongued response saying, scam means still confused about money. It's like, cool, but you didn't address anything that I actually said. So that's why I think the word train is nonsense, and I'll give you an opportunity to respond to that. But that sums up really my arguments to your 3 points about what you actually do in this profession: sell, recruit, and train. I think they're all nonsense for the reasons that I've given. So please go ahead and redress or rebut the thing I said about training.
I started off this conversation telling you about my father, who said it's one of those pyramid things. I'll never forget, Marco, to your point, 2009, this is when things shifted for me in the profession. I was going through a lot because of what was taking place in the economy. I don't know where you guys were in 2008, 2009, but I was an adult. I was 26.
I think I was in grade. Actually, I know exactly where I was. It was the summer. Yes. It was 2008 was when I was going from grade 6 to grade 7. And I remember I saw The Dark Knight and Iron Man in theaters in the same summer. Great summer, but go ahead.
Yeah, I was going through foreclosure and repossession at the same time.
Okay, I'm sorry to hear that.
I never forget, I had my daughter who was on the way. She's now 16. and I ended up not being able to make the mortgage payment because I had lost my job. And my daughter's mother had to take her to her mom's house. I didn't want to go because I was embarrassed that I couldn't keep the lights on. I couldn't even pay a $150 light bill. I'll never forget, I ended up calling my dad to borrow the money to pay the mortgage. I told him, Dad, I need to pay the mortgage or I have to move in with you and bring my daughter and her mother with us. He says, send me your account number. So I did. I didn't tell him that a couple of nights prior, I had met with one of those guys that was at the top of a company at the time. And it was that company called OrganoGold. I'd met with him and he had told me there were 3 different ways to get started with the company. It was $200, $500, and $1,400. And he said, if you want to work with me, you got to pay $1,400 to buy the biggest pack in the company. At the time, I'm broke. I'm facing foreclosure and repossession. I didn't have the money. I took the $2,000 that my dad sent me to pay my mortgage, and I got started at that highest pack in 2009 because he drew out a business plan, told me what I needed to do, how many people I needed to recruit, how much product I needed to sell. And I had never made full-time income in network marketing at the time. I had never even made 6 figures. I had been in it for 6 years with a particular company, and this coffee company was what he was pitching. I didn't even drink coffee. I ended up doing it. I took out of the $2,000, I paid $1,400 to get started. I got the $150 to pay the lights, got the lights back on, but we were 2 months behind on the mortgage going into foreclosure. 2 months behind on the car note that was up for repossession. I get started with the business. I get excited. I come home and I tell my daughter's mother what I had done. And she gave me this look of disappointment and shame and was like, a real man would go get a job at McDonald's to take care of his family, not start some multi-level marketing pyramid scheme. I got out to bed, Marco, where we were sitting, and I ran into the bathroom. I closed the door, turned on the water, because I didn't want her to hear me weeping. I stayed in there so long that by the time I came out, the lights were off and she was fast asleep. I went downstairs, laid on the sofa, and I'm crying. I got tears coming down the side of my eyes. I'm like, I'll never be broke again. And I just chanted that until I fell asleep. I woke up next day, put on my suit, went down to the local hotel where we had done meetings before. Guests had stood me up. People hadn't showed up. I didn't have the money to get a room. So I went into one of the meeting rooms that we would do briefings at for a previous company. And I made phone calls. I had people that I was calling about this opportunity. 27 people is what I had confirmed for the first meeting that I was going to do, because that guy told me, I'm going to do 4 meetings for you. Get as many people as you can in front of me so we can share the product and share the opportunity. 27 people showed up. One of the 27 is my now wife of 11 years that has 2 of my children. She showed up to that meeting. My first week in that company, I made $3,000. By my 3rd month in that company, I was making $8,000 a month. By my 5th month, which was January 2010, I had my first $20,000 a month in commissions. My first full year in the company, I made $117,000. My 2nd year, I made $213,000. My 3rd year, I made $300,000. My 4th year, I made $432,000. I made $1 million in 4 years. My life changed. My cars changed. My homes changed. My giving changed. My beliefs changed. My mindset changed. I say all that to say this. I understand people have a disparaging, demeaning look at what multi-level marketing is, and I get it. From the outside looking in, I would feel the same way. But things changed for me this last year. My dad was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I had to move him out of his apartment and move him in with me. You know, this whole time, Marco, he didn't know this story. He lives with me. I have nurses coming in here. I have oncologist visits. We've got chemo. We've got radiation. We've got life happening. But he hadn't had to worry about anything. I was telling him the story of how all of this has happened, because he was the one that sent me the seed of $2,000 in 2009. And that seed is what has allowed us to do what we're doing today. So I encourage everybody. I know you don't believe sales and multi-level marketing is a real thing. I know you don't believe recruiting is a real thing. I know you don't believe training is a real thing. I'm just telling you from personal lived experience, not from scamming people, not from lying to people, not from cheating anybody. I got clean hands and a pure heart. This profession is not perfect, but when done right, people's lives change for the better. Whether it's 80% that choose not to engage, I focus on the people like me that do engage, that do commit, that do say, you know what? I'm going to learn this. I'm going to master these skills. I'm not going to hound and lie and cheat. I'm really going to buy in to whatever the product is, whatever the service is. And I'm going to share passionately and honestly with people that will listen and people that will care. And I promise you, it'll change your life. So Marco, appreciate you for having me. I appreciate everybody for listening. This was a cordial debate. I know we got a little loud. I certainly got a little loud, a little passionate, but I'm not angry. I'm not mad. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be able to address people about a profession that has changed my life and the lives of so many people around the world.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you, going so deep into sharing, that vulnerable moment in your life and sharing that story with us. And it's certainly an inspiring story. And, when I hear that story about the difficulties you were facing when you chose to take that leap and join MLM, I'm reminded of the countless people that I've heard from who tell me a similar story about them joining MLM at a time in their life when they were vulnerable. I think of people like my former high school best friend who was recruited to World Financial Group fresh out of high school, coming from a hardworking blue-collar family and wanting something more for his life. And it just makes me think of the fact that for all the people who end up having the success story like you, there are so many more people who are put into the position of feeling that desperate, soul-crushing weight, locking themselves in the bathroom crying, who are, I think of now, who have put themselves into such debt pursuing this dream that they were sold when they heard about the fantastical manifestation of becoming a millionaire from charismatic, well-dressed, handsome people like yourself, older, wiser, supposedly successful men that a person like me when I was 18 or 19 certainly would have looked up to and certainly would have allowed the appeal to authority to sway me. And I think of how those people dealing with real human issues like their father dealing with cancer are unable to do the amazing things that you're doing for your dad because they listened to the nonsensical promises and fables of people in your profession.
Yeah.
That said, I really appreciate you being willing to talk with me and share your story. And it is commendable because so many people, as I mentioned to you before we got on here, so many people challenge me aggressively and rudely to have my platform shared with them, and then they end up flopping or saying compliance or whatever. So I do respect a lot that you were willing to engage and have the conversation with me. And I hope that we become friends and we look back on this in a few years and we both laugh and we've both learned something. So yeah.
Absolutely. Somebody's put in the comment, make sure he says his numbers again so they're real. I remember them. 117 year 1, 213 year 2, 315 year 3, 432 year 4. That's $1 million in 4 years.
Results not typical.
Ever, because I'm not typical. Marco, appreciate you, man. I got to roll. I got to go watch the UFC, man. Peace.
Thank you. Peace.